Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Performance E Streaming. We hope you're all well, and welcome to this, the crown jewel event of the Winston 500 in the Legends cars here on Performance E Streaming. We're just getting ready for the start of the race. The cars are going to be pulling away, getting ready. I'm as ever Mr. Carl Wilkinson with you up here in the booth, and I'm joined by Mr. Mark Johansson. Mark, how you going, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Bit of a strange time to be here in the broadcast booth on Performance E Streaming, but nevertheless, here at the Winston Cup 500, a blast to the past.
Absolutely, a fantastic place and a fantastic style of racing as well in these fantastic 1987 cars. We are looking at around about 41 degrees air temperature, 25 degrees track temperature, so that's going to be nice and hot today. We're in for 500 miles of this fantastic track, so it's going to be a big old race today, Mark.
Certainly is, Carl. 188 laps. Limited sets of tyres, only 8 sets of tyres. And we should see about 35 to 37 laps out of a tank of fuel. So it's going to be interesting to see what these boys can do with a Mitch Motorsport lockout on the front row.
Absolutely. Let's quickly run through the grid. Let's bring that up. It is a Mitch Motorsport lockout on the front, as you said. Martin and Gallagher. On row number 2, we've got Mickelmore and Foster. Row 3 is Bowen and Clark. Row number 4 is Otto and Maddie Ray. Row number 5, we've got Tristan Koch and Norman Clark. Row number 6, we've got Phelps and Schultz. Row 7 is Oquio and Nankervis. Lefebvre and Bratka make up the final row for this race. So pace car is coming round, and well, it's a long old lap here at Talladega, and pace car is about to pull in, and it's now the long drive to the start finish straight, and getting ready for this, the start of today's race here at Talladega. So as the cars belt round and we get the green flag, we go live for this, the 500 here, and we are away. All the cars pulling away, and what a beautiful sound these big old V8s make.
The big throaty carburetted cars, fantastic sound. A bit of a handful to drive though, Carl. I know that both you and I have had our fair share of incidents in these things. But they are definitely a handful to get used to and get the power down.
They are indeed, and absolutely love these cars. Would love to be out there today with them, but we are up here in the booth getting to enjoy them from afar. And up the front it is Martin and Gallagher leading away and getting a good start here as they start to form up. And well, as you said, Mark, these are very different cars to race, because you've got to get them just right, and they're not as easy as a modern cup car. They've not got the aero of a modern car. They do have more aero than things from the 70s, of course, but they are a bit brick-like.
Bit? I'd say a lot. Carl, just get you to share your screen, mate.
Yes, it is live. Double check. Should be.
No,
live.
on Discord. On Discord.
Yeah, it is. Should be. Hopefully. We'll just double check that quickly as we continue round. Look, up front is Hamish Gallagher leading at the moment. Up in the front, and he's managed to get ahead of Jason Martin. And look, the thing about these styles of cars is the draft is there, of course, but you've got so much horsepower in these things, you can get away with falling out of the draft a little bit, as we see running down the inside there, Phil Otto flying his way up towards the front and getting a huge run and taking the lead.
Yeah, great to see a Ford out there in front. but I have to say my favourite car there is that orange one in sitting in fourth position with the with what I would call the wrong number on it, the 550 of Tristan Toch.
The good old Home Depot scheme there. One of your favourite drivers, I believe. Some really good cars out there today, and some really good throwbacks as well. Nice to see some awesome throwback liveries here for this race, and it's great to see. We're just going to lose pictures for one moment. Sorry, as I just fix one thing up. But we are back live with the cars, not missing a beat at the moment. Hamish Gallagher dropping down a little bit here as he moves down to the mid-pack as Phil Otto stays up in the lead with Jason Martin there and making a move. The 52 of Aidan Schultz getting a big run on Scott Lefebvre and moving his way up towards the front as we've got some free wide action a little bit further in the pack as Lefebvre has got caught up on the wall and he is going to have a horrible time up there at the moment.
And these things that, and he's going to fly, big time on the roof.
We get the first rollover of the day, and it's Scott Lefebvre. A big incident there. Doesn't bring out the caution flag. Let's just jump back and see if we can get a replay of this one. So he's got caught up on the wall, and then it's pinged him down into the lower section, rolled him over, and that is going to be the first retirement of this race. Lefebvre out early doors, getting caught out by this car.
Yeah, and they're a big old thing. They definitely don't like giving you any what's the word I'm looking for, ease in trying to control. They tend to once you start on a projectile, and that's the way you're going to keep going. And you really have to manhandle these things.
Yeah, they require a different driving style to the more modern cars. I mean, probably the closest thing to them is the truck, in just how it's a little bit more skittish. There's a big touch in the wall a little bit further back for Shane Bowen. There, I think it was, it was Roger Clark in the Marlborough entry, the 999, just taking a big lick into the wall, managed to keep it going. Luckily, these things are made out of pig iron, so they can survive a couple of licks into the wall.
Yeah, they definitely are. They're definitely built a little bit tougher, but definitely better to drive. And we can see now back up the front. When I get my cameras back up there, Aidan is on there now on the high line, and I do believe that is Matty Ray out in front now.
Russell Bratker up there.
Russell Bratker, sorry. Our American driver.
Yeah, the American having a good run in the... Trying to get a good look at the car. and this is the trouble with jumping back into the different cars. It throws me off quickly. But yeah, having a really good run in the... Is that the Sabre? As I squint to try and look. Pontiac.
I do believe it is the Pontiac. You are right, Carl.
With that lovely little sweep back, that slightly more aerodynamic styling on the back of the car. All the cars look so different though. It's great to see. And that's the thing I love about this era is you've got different looking cars. It just makes for very different style racing, and it just adds a little bit more flavour in there. They're not all the same body shape. They're not all the same looking thing. They all have slightly different properties to them as well, and that makes for some fun looking vehicles.
And to see further back as you go back there, Edward Foster in that a chrome AAA car.
Yeah, the 53 on proud display there, and the throwback paints is. Oh, a big bump from Nankervis from behind. Just got sucked up behind Foster. Foster somehow managed to keep that car going around the corner. That could have been a nasty incident there. Very, very close to losing the rear of that car. And Foster's got a lot of experience in these the NASCAR Legends, these 87 cars. He's a former ANZCAR champion with them as well. So not surprised to see him catching the slide there. But that would have been a... well, probably a new race suit moment.
I reckon so, Carl. As you said, Foster's got some great experience in these things. I know when the Weekend Warriors was going, he was the master in the 87s. 17 race wins in one season in the 87s. So some great racing there and great experience. That will come into handy for this Winston 500 this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. Experience in these cars is very, very useful to have. I must admit, these are some of my favourite cars to race in. I absolutely adore these things. They are just such a driver's car. They're so different to your classic style, your modern style NASCARs. It really adds a bit of different flavour into the driving and makes for a very fun driving experience.
And we've got another lead out the front. We've trying to pick all these new paint schemes. Josh Mickelmore back out in the lead, and Russell Bradker hard up on the outside there. He's going to get the run around the outside. Is anyone going to go with him? We've got Jason Martin and then Aidan Schultz up there. So we can see Bradker having a great race here this afternoon. He's not had some of the best luck through midweek stuff, but he definitely likes these. And now we've got the two Mitch boys, 1 and 2 again, with the third one just sitting back there in about 6th place.
Yeah, they're sitting in some good positions at the moment, and look, up the front of the field is never a bad place to be. It adds for a little bit of safety sometimes up at the front, because you're less likely to get caught in a big accident. And well, hopefully we're not going to see any big accidents today with a slightly smaller field. We should hopefully just see some really good super speedway racing in these really, really fast cars.
And we just seen there, Carl, that Bradker slid that car around turns 1 and 2. So got to be careful not to heat those tyres up, otherwise he's going to drop back very quickly. And the boys have only got 8 sets of tyres available to them in the wall for Bradker.
Oh, he just got that out in the nick of time and saved that one, and keeps the car moving forwards and gets away with a relatively scot-free with that one. But you don't want to be doing that too often, as it will eventually build up and, leave you very, very open to some bad luck later in the race. And you definitely don't want the Talladega curse hitting here.
No, definitely not. It's we have seen some big accidents in these things around here. So, as you said though earlier, Carl, not quite as big field today. So hopefully we can get through without too many cautions. But I do know that some of these boys will be definitely looking for a caution or two. as they are a handful to handle, as we've already said about these cars, the 87s.
Yeah, they are very, very tough to drive, and look, these drivers will be getting absolutely cream crackered out there for sure. And we're just going to quickly just lose the pictures and the stream for just 1 second. We'll be right back with you. Sorry, just a couple of little technical issues here today at Performance E-Streaming, but we will be right back with more live action from the Crown Jewel 2024 Legends race here at Talladega. And we are back. Sorry about that, folks. Yes, and look, the drivers are still going on at the moment. We're expecting about 35 laps for a stint, so that will really lead to some different strategies being played out here for this race as it keeps on chugging along. But getting the right strategy is going to be key for this one. It's a long old race, and well, unlike the modern Cup cars, unlike the modern sort of series, tyres can be a real crucial thing for these super speedway races.
Yeah, definitely, and as we've seen before, Bradker sliding that car around a little bit. He's now dropped back into 4th position behind Schultz. But we can see that the master, the Godfather, has been able to look after those tyres, even though we are only 19 laps in, and he's now up in the 5th place. So he's starting to become along, and I don't think we'll see him out front too early. I think he'll just ride along there and watch these guys in front and yeah, make his move to that last 20 laps.
Yeah, he's going to be sitting there just taking note of everything and waiting to pounce on the drivers that start to struggle latterly in the stint. Of course, the other thing as well is if we get green flag stops, there is a chance that the drivers will be looking at well, just taking fuel only, not taking tyres, and double stinting tyres here could be a real big advantage depending on your setup as well. We know the Mitch cars are fast. They absolutely dominated in qualifying, but the race setup for some of these cars is looking very different at the moment. Aiden Schultz and Russell Bratker, they both really struggled in qualifying, but the race setup of those cars looking very, very solid at the moment. They are able to run right up at the front without too much bother.
Yeah, you're right, Carl. So right at the moment, we've got 2 Mitch Motorsports car, got a Quantum Motorsports car, and SRM Australia up there in the top 4, and an Atari car there in 5th spot. So good range, good mix of guys and different teams there. Roger Clark sitting there in the 999 Marlboro car. Behind him, Hamish Gallagher, another Mitch Motorsport. Phil Otto there in the number 1 Kingsman car, privateer, I think, or is he a sim boy?
He's a privateer, Phil Otto.
Privateer. And then we go back, and then we got Tristan Koch and the other SRM boys there of Ruben Phelps, Matty Ray, and Lachlan Urquhart, Shane Bowen there out by himself, and then Jamie Nankervis sitting at the back there from Valve Esport. And he's lost his only teammate early tonight when we seen him get into the outside wall and bounce down onto the inside and end up on his roof.
Yeah, that was a big incident. We got Norman Clark in the lane, and he has decided to make his stop 21 laps in. So he is the first car to come down the lane and make a pit stop here today. And you can see how much it's cost him. He's lost a lap here at Talladega, and you know, again, in modern sort of cup racing, we sort of don't tend to lose a lap at Talladega because it is such a long track. But you're going to be stationary for a lot longer in these cars. They don't fill up as quickly as a modern car. They don't have the pit stops take a little bit longer, and the cars are running well a little bit faster as well. That's the thing with these cars, is they might be a bit older, but they run a heck of a lot faster.
And you've got to remember too, Carl, that with the modern day cars, we've got that single lug nut now, where these have still got the older 6 lug nuts on them, so you've got to go through and undo them and refasten them. So a little bit more time, as you said, in pit lane to change tyres and get fuel in.
Up at the front, Mitch Mosport still leading, and we've got Russell Bracker, Josh Mifflemore, Gallagher up there now with Foster and Schultz. They're all keeping relatively tight and confined at the moment, and keeping themselves in a good pack. And as I said, speeds of these things absolutely insane. They really do get up to some monster speeds. We're looking at over 300 kilometers per hour, and it is a very, very fast car to be running in, which is always nice. We like to see fast cars. It's always fun to see a car that can do up to 212 miles per hour. These things are doing. Once you get in the pack as well, just get that little bit of aero braking as well. You can see just 214, 215, 216. 320, 330 kilometers per hour. These things are absolutely hooning along. They are ridiculously fast, and when you think about the braking capability of these things, that they're not that great at stopping.
No, definitely not. You look back at these things, and as you said, 209, 212 mile an hour, that really stood at this era really stood out as one of the hard man races. It was very, very surprising that we didn't see more deaths in this era than what there was, and it just goes to testament on how strong these cars were built.
Absolutely. I mean, they're very solid machines, you got to say, but these cars are faster than modern Formula 1 cars almost, at top speed, which is a crazy thing to think about. I mean, modern Formula 1 cars are not really designed for the ultimate top speed these days. It's more acceleration. But when you consider, this was 87, these cars absolutely ridiculous speeds, and they don't look aerodynamically like they should be able to go that fast, do they? Trying to see if we've got any. We've got a good number of Chevrolets out there today. Good number of Fords, of course. We've got. Trying to see if that's. This is always the hard part. We've got the Pontiac out there as well. The Pontiac Grand Prix, but I don't think we've got any LeSabres out there, unfortunately. Which is a shame.
It is. But it's only a three-make race.
Exactly. I mean, disgraceful. Where's the Buick love, ladies and gentlemen? It's always sad not to see a Buick out there in its beautiful, beautiful non-aerodynamic glory. Now, what do you tend to run, Mark? That is the big question for me.
Back in this era, it would have been a Chev.
Why am I not surprised? It's a shame there's no Toyota back in this day. It would have been could have had a beautiful Crown Prince out there. It would have been nice.
Yeah. So coming up to complete lap 29 of 188. It's good, some good speed still out there by the Mitch boys. Everyone else is just settled in. Aiden's got up there early, and he's happy to sit in third place and stick his nose out when he has to. And Russell Bradker's now just settled in to fourth. Hamish Gallagher still sitting there in fifth, and Foster in sixth.
We've got some very good cars out there in the lead. I'm still intrigued to find out what Norman Clark's up to with that early stop coming in on lap 21. He came in early, he's lost a lap, and he's sort of sat back there at the moment, just lapping on his own at the moment. Just trying something different from Norman Clark, obviously, and well, we know Norman likes to roll the dice now and again.
Yeah, definitely likes to play something a little bit different, and it looks like he's doing that this afternoon. I don't know, maybe he got a bit of damage, but doesn't look like he was in his box long enough to get a lot of damage repair. He was only in his box for 18.1 seconds. So that's back in these days, it would have just been fuel and tyres.
Yeah, I don't see any damage on that car. A good look at the Pepsi entry, the absolute best soda of choice, and there doesn't appear to be any damage on the 09. So I'd say it was just a strategic call, just coming in that little bit early for fuel and maybe some tyres, and just trying something a little bit different. And well, not losing out on too much time. He's about 3/10 slower than the main pack. And as we said, you know, these things, they've got so much horsepower under the bonnet, you don't really need a pack to keep up with everybody.
No, what I found too is at certain points in this race, you're going to get some bad aero wash. If someone can get right up under the tail, it tends to take the downforce off the rear end of these things a little bit, and you can definitely see some big accidents when that does happen.
Yeah, and we're just seeing Aiden Schultz right now. He is absolutely getting underneath the back of Russell Bracker as we jump on board, and something we're not used to in the gyro cam is having a great view from the car, because usually there's all the roll cage in the way, stopping us from seeing. But of course these cars, the roll cage is just there for show. The main body of these cars is so solid, they can survive anything.
Just about, Carl. Yeah. And the inside of these cars are so different to the modern day cars. As people that tune in and see either on Checker Flag or here on Performance Eastream, as you said, no bar work across the windows, no bar work down the centre of the car, really, to speak of. It's just the old all-post roll cage, and that's about it.
So you're getting a good run up to 220 miles per hour there, 347, almost 350 kilometres per hour in this absolute beautiful Ford. And we see Aiden just running around. And one of the other things as well that's a bit different in the 87 cars is you have to lift at super speedways, and that's something people are not too used to for. You know, in this Thunderbird right now, Aiden's having to lift through the corner. He's just having to breathe the throttle, because if you try and go through full throttle in this car, especially a couple of laps into a stint, you're gonna really struggle, and you're gonna find yourself washing up the track and getting into the wall. And I hesitate to say that's kind of what happened to Scott Lefebvre early on, as we jump on board with Russell Bracker as he runs up the track a little bit. But it catches a lot of drivers out when they're driving this thing, because they're not used to having to lift as much as you have to on a super speedway, you know. And it's not just if you're mid-pack, you know, if you're at the front you have to lift as well. It is such a different driving style, You know, this car requires so much more concentration to get it around a track than your sort of modern day stock cars.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see that red light on the dash coming on and going out. You'll find that's the rev counter. So he's come into the corners there. He's just lifted his foot off the brake. It allowed the revs to come down a little bit, and then now back onto it hard.
Yeah, you can see those revs climbing up to almost 8,000 RPM, 7,500 RPM as we go across the tri-oval section, and again having to lift in that section as well. You know, that's how much of these cars require concentration, and Ratko lifting off completely there, the revs dropping down to about 1,000 RPM. You know, that's it, you have a big lift there, now on full throttle, and this is where the rev count's going to get up close to 8,000 RPM as we go down the back straight, getting up to close to 350 kilometers per hour. You know, it is immense speed, and these things are just such a joy to drive, as we say. You know, they are such a different experience for anybody.
Sorry, Carl, just keep an eye out for the first lot of pit stops, and we've got 3 cars. The 3 Mitch boys are in.
Let's try and chase down. There we go. Oh, Micklemore just got that stopped in the nick of time. Hopefully he managed to slow it down enough to the speed limit to get that car in safely. But Mitch coming in together. So Micklemore, Gallagher and Martin all in together here as they come in for their stop. And this is going to be the first set of stops. And we can see they're taking tyres. So they've decided tyres are a go. This leaves Aidan Schultz in the lead. He's got a big gap over Ruben Phelps, who's worked his way up into second place, and Foster down in third.
All right, Carl. Schultz is in. Bracker's in this lap. Just heard it over the radio.
And see him slowing down, getting that car to that pit speed limit. Of course, no limiters in these cars either, so you've got to do it all by the foot, all by the old manual measurement. And right now we've got Micklemore and Martin coming out on track, and you can see they've been passed by the leaders, so they're a lap down at the moment. What they're hoping for now is no caution flag.
So we keep an eye on pit lane coming in this lap. These guys I've heard everyone calling now in the pit lane this lap. So the Mitch boys pulled the pin early, and now we're going to see a whole heap of guys, if not the rest of the field, in almost.
As we see them coming in, and looks like everybody's making it in nice and safely. Good job from everybody there to get the car slowed down in the nick of time, because again, that's not easy to do. It's easy to make a mistake. We got Maddie Ray and Lachlan Urquio. They've stuck it out for a bit longer, so they're extending their stint a little bit here.
Yeah, remember though, Carl, they've sat at the back for a lot of for all of this first stint in this race, so they've probably not used quite as much, but I would say that we'll see them in this time by.
Urquio pulling it in, Maddie Ray pulling it in, getting the cars slowed down, and Maddie Ray might just have got that one slowed down in the nick of time, but it looked a little bit touch and go there. Hopefully he's not going to receive a penalty for that one. Meanwhile, out on track, it's all going to get mixed up, and here comes the Mitch boys, and they are going to take the effective race lead here, I think. They are working together well, and they've linked themselves up nicely in this group, and this has really broken the field up.
Just keeping an eye on the timing screen here.
I don't know if you can go back and check for me with Aidan Schultz to see if he took tyres, Mark, because his stop was nice and quick. He was 17 seconds in the lane. He was in and out like a whippet with a bum full of dynamite. But he has been caught by those Mitch boys, but he's managed to keep himself in the lead of this race.
Okay, having a look here.
as Mark does that, we'll quickly look at the race info. And we've had 10 changes of lead so far and 7 different leaders in this race. Good to see. Quite a lot of different drivers jumping up to the front of the field. But at the moment, it's Josh Micklemore leading the charge from the front as the Mitch boys are linked up with Aidan Schultz at the moment. Aidan Schultz absolutely nailing the stop and getting himself out there in his Thunderbird.
Right, so I can tell you that Aidan took rights only.
Okay.
Now the other big drama there, we've seen Russell Bradcar drop off. He's now down into 14th spot. He had a absolute horror pit stop. He came in, got crossed up, touched the pit lane wall. So as he came into his box, so he had to reverse back and move to the right a little bit so his crew could get in and get those tyres changed. So not a good stop for Bradcar.
Let's see if we can find that for us. Russell Bradcar in the Monte Carlo having a horror of a stop. That's in the exit. Let's see. Here we go. Here's Russell Bradcar's stop. We'll jump on board and see that one. And does not look too bad. Was it beforehand?
No, it's as he's come in. You watch this.
Oh, I see. Oh, coming. He's crossed it up. Oh, that is a horror. And he's missed his box and then had to really readjust it. That is not a fun pit stop at all. And that's why he was about 54 seconds in the lane compared to everybody else about 44 seconds.
But he has started to move back up. He's now while we've watched that replay, he's moved himself up into 12th position behind Shane Bowen. So he has been out of recovery a little bit, but he'll definitely be kicking himself and cursing, and some steam will be coming out from under that open face helmet.
Absolutely. We have got a bit of... as Hamish Gallagher collects the wall there. Big slap into the wall for Gallagher. And that has really cost him a lot of momentum. Can he keep himself up with the rest of his teammates? Looks like he's gotten away relatively scot-free from that one, but still quite a big old whack on that car. And he's managed to keep himself up there at the moment. But yeah, that just shows how easy it is to happen. Somebody of the caliber of Gallagher just struggling with that, and so easy to have those little mistakes. So there's about a 2.5 second gap back to Edward Foster now. He's leading the next pack of cars who are chasing down these Mitch boys. They're wanting to try and close up that gap a little bit. They need them to start fighting and squabbling up at the front for them to be able to close this gap up, though.
Yeah, 100% correct. So we've got that lead group of 4 cars, and then that next group, as you alluded to, has been led by Foster, a group of 6. So that group of 6 need to start working together and just staying in a single line. But as I say that, we can see further back in that little group that they decided to go too wide.
Just getting a little bit of air possibly just through the radiator. And well, I've just had a look through the field, and well, we've got Chevys and Fords. We only have those 2 cars, no Pontiacs and no Buicks out there, unfortunately.
Well, that's a real shame, Carl, because we would like to see more variety out there, but unfortunately Yeah, I've just had to get up and move away from the screen for a minute, so I do apologise. I had to switch mics.
Okie dokie, that is okay. I'll let you have a bit of a stretch of your legs and grab some drink and things like that as we continue on here, as the race unfolds. And, well, some very different strategies playing out as we saw Norman Clark coming in early. It's not really worked out for him. He needed a caution, I think, to get that really working. And well, we've not seen one so far. The only incident we've seen so far today is Scott Lefebvre having a huge accident early in the race that did not bring out the caution flag. So it is currently running pretty cleanly at the moment as everybody continues on. The gap is closing though, now down to 2.2 seconds. Foster doing a great job of leading this pack. And we'll just go back to that Lefebvre incident just to show you what happened. And we can see he just got caught up on the wall and the back end stepped out on him and he went straight down and into a rollover. A huge incident for Lefebvre that unfortunately saw him out of the race early on. So we're seeing some fastest laps being set out there as well by the second group. Currently Jamie Curvis and Phil Otto trading them. We saw a 44.925 from Jamie Curvis, and he's sitting at the back of this group and just using that draft to his advantage. But they are closing in sharp, and now Foster within a second of Aidan Schultz. He is going to be going extremely fast soon because he's going to get into that bubble, into that slipstream of the cars ahead, and going to have a huge amount of speed advantage over the rest of the field for a few moments. Could very much set the fastest lap with that advantage. Will he want to lead from the front? We'll see as he goes sailing past Josh Micklemore and up into the front of this group as Foster catches on, and that brings with him Ruben Phelps, Matty Ray, Lachlan Urquhart, Jamie Curvis and Phil Otto. Great job of catching the pack here, and they have done a nice job of getting up here. And you can see the speed. Foster clicks over 353 kilometers per hour on the back straight, absolutely flying along at the moment as he gets up into the lead pack, and surely we'll be looking at setting a very nice lap time indeed with this one. And we are joined up in the booth by Mr. Matty Hunter. Matt, how you going, mate?
Yep, not too bad, not too bad.
Nice to see you. I hope it's all going well.
Yeah, could be better. Just catching up on everything's going. I just wondering, have you got the Facebook streaming up and running?
No, unfortunately, some issues there with the Facebook stream, so we had to share the link, but cannot get the Facebook stream working, unfortunately.
What I was thinking of doing is I might fire that stream up on the Facebook one, but we'll just do an onboard with somebody.
Yeah, that would be absolutely grand.
I'll have a look at that and see if we can get that up and running for you.
Beautiful. As Edward Foster gets up into the lead here, and we continue on with this race, and been fairly good racing up at the front. This gives us a nice group of 10 cars at the lead. Roger Clark at the moment trying to drag along the rest of the pack. They've got about 13 seconds to make up to get themselves into the lead group. Not impossible, but they've really got to work together to get themselves up there or absolutely nail their next pit stops. So a few different options to go there as well. So some very different chances for these cars.
Yeah, and we see now Aidan Schultz back out in front. These guys really taking their turns out the front, sharing the fuel load around. You're going to have a bit more of a burn this time by, and so it's good to see this top 10 really battling it out. But Schultz now has been able to just stretch his legs just over 200ths of a second gap back to Foster, and then there's another 200 second back to Martin. So they are opening and closing that gap all the time, Carl.
They are plenty of switching around, and well, it's good to see Aidan Schultz back out on track, and good to see him being a little bit more settled now, and hopefully we'll be able to see him back out on track more often, and nice to see that as well. And Maddie Ray as well, back as well from a bit of a hiatus, so good to see some returning drivers able to get back out on track and get some racing going once again after a couple of tough months for them.
And again, we see here now, Aidan Schultz steps to the high line and lets that bottom line go, that lead pack. Where's he going to try and drop back in? He
looks like he's going to be dropping a little bit further back, as there's quite a tight line on the bottom at the moment, and they are not really leaving it too open. He might have to slot in behind the Mitch cars, but Phil Otto is closing up very, very quickly here and coming along at a vast rate of knots. And meanwhile, the SRM crew are getting themselves linked up with Ruben Phelps, Matty Ray and Lachlan Oakvio. So that little group is slinking together as Aidan Schultz drops in just behind Josh Micklemore there.
Yeah, nice little nice little gap there for him to drop into. I don't know if Phil played the gentleman and let him in, but nevertheless, he's been able to drop back in the fifth spot. But now he's having another run. Just got down below that Mitch car.
And we're seeing Norman Clark coming down the lane for his second stop here. So that's going to drop him a lap, and it might even drop him down 2 laps here. So it's not going well for Norman Clark tonight. Just some struggle with the strategy out there. Just coming in that little bit early. Could have worked if we had a caution, but unfortunately for him, no cautions so far in this race, as everybody's doing a good job of running green to this point. So as we continue on, 57 laps of 188 here tonight, today even. First time I've mistakenly said tonight, Mark. So we're going well. It's only one so far. So used to calling in at the evening, not used to calling in daytime.
Well, I was just going to say, make sure you've got your curtains open, Carl, because it is daytime. I know it's a strange thing for you and I to be up at this time of day, but I'll tell you what, it's a bit bright out there.
Luckily, I've got my blackout curtains up, so I can never tell. The life of the vampire that I lead. But we are running well at the moment, and it is going along nicely. And look, we're seeing some good lap times out there. Everybody's keeping consistent. And well, this front pack is absolutely linked up at the moment. The group of 10 cars are nose to tail, so they are doing very nicely to keep themselves linked up. Meanwhile, a bit further back, Shane Bowen has managed to close the gap a tiny bit. This little group of 4 cars doing a good job of just keeping themselves rolling along. But about 13 seconds, they really need to try and get this gap down. Or a caution flag to come out in the very near future, just to get them back into this race, because they're going to be using a little bit more fuel as well like that, so it's going to be hard to strategically get themselves back up there. Meanwhile, Norman Clark is out. He's still 1 lap down, but he is sitting in a relatively okay spot. He's in front of the leaders, so being just 1 lap down, it does give him the opportunity to get a little bit closer. I think it's single file restarts for tonight, and not 100% sure if the lucky dog rule is in effect. So it's not the advantage that you might always have just being 1 lap down. You've got to race to get back on that lead lap. So if he can stay just 1 lap down, it does give him the opportunity to try and get back into this race. But it's going to be a long old night for Norman Clark.
Yeah, definitely right. Just having a look through the best times there, Carl. Right at the moment, the fastest man, or the man that set fast time, is the man sitting back in 6th place, that orange number 1 of Phil Otto, with a time of 44.9. Second best lap out there was okay, now it's just changed on me. Was Russell Bratko with a 45.443, and then most of the other guys are in the mid 45s.
Yeah, it's that stage of the race now where you're sort of thinking about what you need to do to get through the next few laps, and you know they're going to start working backwards a little bit as well, because you want to be able to make it to the end with as least stops as possible.
Sorry, Carl, I've just gone back to have a look at something. I heard some chatter over the radio. It looks like it's been a non-event. So that second group, just heard a little bit of chatter between the boys about got to stay in the single line and not race each other. So they are now back in single file with Clark out in front, Bowen, Koch and Bradker there. So they are trying to gain on that group, but it's now out to 17 seconds. 16 seconds. So they're having a hard time of it.
Yeah, they're just not able to get it working at the moment. If they can start working together, they might be able to get this one running. But it is tricky to sort of get that little bit of extra speed in this car. It's not like the modern Cup cars where you can link up together and bump draft your way up there. You've got to just really keep the car in a nice stable position and get yourself up to that spot. But they are hemorrhaging time, 17 seconds back from the lead now, 15 seconds from Jamie Nankervis. So they really need to start working together to get this one working. Meanwhile, up at the front, Foster has decided it's time to leave. To stop leading. He's fallen back a little bit, and Hamish Gallagher has now taken the lead up the front and is going to be the car braking the air and pushing his way forwards to help the rest of the pack just save a little bit of fuel. And look, what might be a smart move here is once they catch Norman Clark, is just leaving him at the front of the pack as a bit of a sacrificial lamb for the leaders. I'm sure they'll be thinking of doing that. Once they start to close the gap on him. The gap is closing as we jump on board with Hamish Gallagher in this very, very pink interior.
I don't think that'll happen though, Carl. The race car drivers, they'll go for whatever they can get, and they won't want to sit behind another race car.
You're saying race car drivers don't like sitting behind another race car? It's that's a very strange thing to say.
Now we've got the Mitch boys out here, just starting to open up a gap on Schultz. I just seen him on one of my shots where he just rubbed the wall there. So coming out of 3 and 4 that last lap. So. Have to keep an eye on that car and make sure he hasn't done any damage. And Foster's decided that I'm going to sit behind you. I'm going to get up here with these lead 3.
As they link together, and yeah, you can see now the Mitch boys are absolutely going for it. And they sort of stopped a little bit earlier than everybody else as well, remember, so they are getting closer and closer to their next round of pit stops, and they've been up at the front as well, and that could prove to be not as useful to them as they come towards the end of the race. They might have to take a longer pit stop. Oh, Schultz takes a massive lick into the wall. Will he save it? It's close. He does. Just saves the car from going down into that barrier down on the inside. If that had happened on the front section of this track, that would have been race over for Aiden Schultz. Massive save there from the 52.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that knock that he took out of three and four a few laps ago has done some damage to that right side.
Let's see if we can catch the on board here. And remember, he took right side only, didn't he, Aiden Schultz? So maybe the left sides are starting to get a little bit less optimal for him. Let's see for Aiden Schultz and get a bit of a view on board with this one. He just runs wide, bang, into the wall. And just saves it in at the nick of time. And we've also had an incident for Urquio as well. So what has happened to the 42 here? We'll just have a bit of a look-see at this replay. And just rubs the wall on the exit of the tri-oval. Fairly heavy whack there for Lockie, but he's managed to keep it going. And that's going to be crucial. But he has dropped off a little bit from the lead pack. Same for Aiden Schultz. So that sort of removed a couple of cars from this lead pack equation.
Yeah, definitely, and we're definitely going to be looking at seeing these guys in pit lane in the next 10 laps, I'd say.
I think we're going to see them in a bit sooner than that. I think we might see the Mitch boys in relatively sooner, probably about 6 to 7 laps time based on their previous ones. They've done about 32 laps into the stint now, 33 as they cross the line, and that's about the area they looked at last time in their pit stop. So probably go another 4 or 5 laps, and or even 2 or 3 laps, I should say, and then we'll see the Mitch boys coming in. But everybody else is going to be sticking out there, I'm sure.
Well, now the question is, if you were Foster, would you follow these guys in? Don't forget, he's got, I think it was 2 laps. 2 laps less on that set of tyres and on the fuel, so he could jump these boys if he comes in with them, just on the fuel side of things, if he decides to double stint those tyres. But then again, we've seen what happened with Aiden Schultz. We've only taken one side of tyres, and it's come back to bite him.
Yeah, that's it. It's always tricky to try and work out what you need to do, and it's always very easy to make a mistake and just have a bit of a struggle in these cars. As we see from this camera angle, you can just see how much drift they have on the car, and it just really is about being smooth in this car. It's so crucial. But it's so easy to make a mistake in this vehicle and find yourself in the wall. So if they can make, they need to make another couple of laps here. So I'd say it's looking good for the SRM boys. They managed to extend their stint a little bit here. As Phil Otto just gives the wall a little lick. The SRM crew, that they managed to extend their stint a little bit. They could be in really good for the final few laps of this race. If anyone can make it to lap 80, they're going to be sitting pretty for about 3 more stops, I think, from my quick calculations. This could be really bad news for the Mitch Motorsport crew, as they will need to come into the lane very, very shortly. I think about 40 laps is about the maximum you can manage in this car for fuel. They're 37 laps into this stint now, and it's going to be very, very close indeed to them making it home, with maybe needing a quick splash and dash at the end just to get them across the line.
I'm just starting doing some sums myself here, Carl.
Yeah, it's always good to double check those sums from me, because we know maths is not my strong point. You can hear the gears whirring in at the background.
Sorry, Carl. That back group pitting in this lap. Roger Clark, Tristan Toch. They'll be in the lane this time by.
Okay, let's jump to this group. So they are going to be coming in now and trying to get themselves all fueled up. They need to make it in nice and clean here, which they do. Hopefully nobody gets any penalties to them. So they're going to want to absolutely nail this stop.
Sorry, Carl. Mitch boys are in. Mitch boys are in.
Bit of a lock-up. Foster coming in as well as Phil Otto, and Norman Clark's coming in for a secondary stop here. So they're deciding to come in as a bit of more of a pack this time, and this leaves Matty Ray out in the lead. And Matty Ray, he extended his stint to 41 laps, so he's got the most fuel of anybody. And look at the SRM team with Jamie Nankervis. They've linked up nicely, and I imagine they're going to be sticking it out here for about at least another 2 or 3 laps to try and extend it a little bit. We might even see them extending a little bit further, but they're going to want to extend as much as possible here to get themselves to the end with as fewer stops as possible. So could be a really good option for these cars. It could give them a really good opportunity in this race, and it might be down to a fuel strategy to get them the W here at the Winston 500. The ANZCAR Legends was a huge lick into the wall. This Lachlan Urquio, that is not going to help them in this race, and this is not going to help them in this stint either. That was a huge slap into the wall for the 42. Looks like he's gotten away somewhat unscathed, but you do not want to be doing that too often, because that is really going to leave the car with some issues, as we see them splitting out, and they keep it moving on at the moment and stay out there for another lap. So this group is really extending well and leaving themselves open to a good opportunity later in this race.
Okay, I've done some sums on the figures right now. Mitch boys will need to stop 2 more times to get home. When these guys stop, I think they may go close to another 2 stops. But the Mitch boys will be in danger, even with 2 stops, of running short on fuel towards the end, because they are not getting the stints that they need here.
That's it, as we see this group pitting in, SRM and Nankervis, and big moment there for Matty Ray. He almost lost it on pit entry, rears locking up a little bit, and this is the problem in this car, is getting it slowed down, because you're using brakes that are, they're not the best brakes in the world, as we see Phelps really having a horror stop as well, similar to Bratko missing his box. That's not going to help these guys. They need to have perfect stops here to keep themselves out in front of the Mitch boys and keep themselves linked up as well. Nankervis is going to get away first in this group. He has a nice pit stop. All of the SRM team just a little bit iffy with their stop, and I wonder if Matty Ray and Lachlan Urquio have both got themselves some speeding penalties, because they are still stationary and that is disastrous. Ruben Phelps, I should say, and Maddie Ray. They look like they've got themselves a penalty. This has not worked out for that group of cars. It was looking so good, but it has all gone horrifically wrong for Maddie Ray and Ruben Phelps.
Yeah, definitely not a good afternoon for the SRM boys there. With two of them getting their stops. Now Curvis has come out and been able to hopefully link up with the front five guys. He's just dropped off the back. Now sums are Mitch boys 2 more stops. Chance that they will have to stop for a splash and go because they do not have the fuel to get home. Now Curvis has the fuel to get home on 2 more stops. So he's just got to stay on the lead lap and hope for the best.
The trouble for Dan Curvis now is though he is he's sort of off that lead pack, and he's a bit of no man's land. But if he can link up with Phil Otto and Lachlan Urquio here, he will be in a good position, as Phil Otto's just having some connectivity issues. Let's hope that sorts itself out. This three need to really link up with each other because they're about 10 seconds off the lead pack. So these three need to really link up and make sure that gap does not grow. Meanwhile, Aidan Schultz, he's out on his lonesome now. He's sort of missed out in that stop, about 20 seconds back. A bit further back, we have the backpack Roger Clark, Shane Bowen, Russell Bracker. They are about 30 seconds off the lead, trying to close that gap. Tristan Koch, he has dropped off the lead pack as well, and he is going to be going a lap down very, very shortly. If he doesn't get a wiggle on, Ruben Phelps and Maddie Ray, well, they are about to drop a lap down to this man, Jason Martin, who is leading the race at the moment. So with 107 laps to go here, we've had 20 changes of the lead, 8 different leaders, 0 caution laps, which is lovely to see. Some really good driving by everybody tonight. We've seen a couple of close calls, and we have seen one retirement in Scott Lefebvre, who had a huge wreck earlier on in this race on lap number 5, but everybody else keeping the cars clean and keeping themselves out there. Let's jump back to that incident from Lefebvre and bring it up for us so we can see the only incident in this race that just did not bring out a caution flag, but it was a very big accident for Scott Lefebvre.
I'd like to go on board and watch the on-board car because that would be a bit scary upside down and sliding the way he did.
So on board with Lefebvre now, and he gets caught up in the wall on the exit of turn 2 and then just can't really get the car back. He sort of gets it back on track, then gets back up in the wall through 3 and 4 as he's held up high, and this is where the incident is about to go wrong for him as he gets really pinged up against the wall, saves the car, and then bang, into the wall he goes, and upside down goes Scott Lefebvre in that very, very nasty incident.
Back up the front right now, Carl. We've still got Matty Ray and Ruben Phelps been able to hold off the front 4 of the 3 Mitch boys, Jason Martin, Josh Mickelmore and Hamish Gallagher, and sitting there in 4th place is still Mr. Foster, been able to close right up on those 3, and Nan Curvis, I should say, rounds out the top 5.
Just jumping back to a replay here of Tristan Koch, she's had a bit of a moment apparently. Just going to try and work out what's happened here as, he's done the same thing, a big incident into the wall, and similar to Lefebvre, has gone straight down into the barrier, and that is going to be night over for the 550.
Jason Martin might be having some technical issues as well.
Yeah, I've just seen he's dropped off our screen and might be losing connection here. We might have lost Jason Martin from this race, and that is a big scalp to lose. Martin having a very fast car, our pole sitter for tonight's race as well. So hopefully the connection gremlins and connection gods are kind to him and we can get him back in this race. But it looks like he might be dropped out. He might be able to get back in, but he's going to lose a lap here. So it might be night done for Jason Martin as well. A dramatic couple of laps there. And as always, it all happened as we were watching a replay, because everything happens when we're trying to get caught up on all the action in the race. But we are back to live pictures here. Up the front is Hamish Gallagher, Josh Mickelmore and Edward Foster. That's our lead pack. A little bit further back, 12 seconds back, is Nan Curvis, Urquio and Otto. And losing Martin from that group will help this little group catch up maybe. So they have got an opportunity here to close the gap a little bit. And it does look like Martin is very much out of this race currently. So we'll keep an eye and see if he pops back onto the server. But much like we say in Full Metal Racing, you know, you cannot predict a mechanical failure. In virtual racing, you cannot predict a disconnect, and it's the closest thing you can get to an engine blowing or a gearbox failing is your internet connection failing. And unfortunately, that is what has happened to Jason Martin here, who had a very, very quick car indeed. Meanwhile, Roger Clark having a bit of a moment as well. Let's see what's happened here to Rog in the 999. That ever beautiful Marlboro livery. Of course, we do not endorse smoking here at Performance E-String, but we do say the cigarette packages always look very, very cool indeed, especially on a race car. So what's happened to the 999? Same thing has happened to Tristan Koch, but he's just caught the slide in time. But heavy impact into the wall. That is going to add a little bit of damage to the front right of that car and make it a little bit less, a little bit trickier to drive for the very near future. As we jump back to live pictures, and Hamish Gallagher tucking himself up underneath the rear of Maddie Ray at the moment, getting himself in a good position. And this is not a bad strategy from the Mitch boys, using those SRM cars as a bit of a windbreaker. That's going to help their mileage a little bit and could possibly get them to a point where they can cross the line with 2 more stops to go. So a decent strategy call here by Mitch Motorsport to use the SRM cars as a little bit of a wind blocker. Oh, as Urquio has a big moment coming onto the tri-oval. Will this bring out the caution flag? We wait and see. It looks like he's just gotten away with it being green, but that was a big moment for Urquio. Let's see what has happened here for the 42. Let's see if we can catch the incident here. It was working with Nankervis and Otto. Let's see.
It's just stepped out on him.
Yeah, it's just stepped out going through the corner. Just had the rear go, maybe just a little bit too much throttle on the exit of the corner. The back end steps out and around she goes. Big tank slapper. And that just shows the speed he is carrying, because that car is spinning, spinning, spinning. Round and round it goes. Manages to slow it down, get it back in the right direction, but those tyres are going to be cooked as well. But he is back up to speed, back out racing, and I think he's going to come into the pit lane because those tyres are looking a little bit buggered. Meanwhile,
another one. Ruben Phelps are down on the infield, on the entry in the pit lane. just caught the back of it, and he's been able to keep it going, I think.
So here's the replay there. Just go back a little bit because that's just caught the beginning of it. So he's up high. It's going to be a little bit dirty up there. He's just lost the rear, and that is one heck of a drift. That is, well, I think that's the drift of the night from Ruben Phelps as he saves that car. Meanwhile, Jason Martin is back out on track, but 6 laps down. So that is the big news here. 6 laps down for Martin after a connection issue. And, well, the SRM cars are having a horror show at the moment as Phelps has another moment here. What's happened to Ruben in the Trove? I think he's caught the wall through turn number 1. I'm just going back to have a look at this. It's been a disastrous couple of laps for SRM. Ever since those mistakes in pit lane, it has all gone wrong for the SRM team. As we'll try and find out what's happened to Ruben Phelps. Back end stepped out again on him, and heavily into the wall goes Phelps. And again, we just avoid a caution as the car keeps moving on. But that is probably night over for Ruben Phelps, as that looked like a lot of damage to the front end.
Yeah, it's torn the front end off that car. He's going to be in pit lane for a long time, and as I say that, he's taken it behind the wall.
Yeah, not a surprise, unfortunately, as we lose Ruben Phelps from the race, as well as Scott Lefebvre. Tristan Koch still in for repairs. But the cars are starting to get tricky to drive now. The track has got some marbles on it. It's been a long race, and well, fatigue starts to set in as well, and we are seeing it. And well, we've seen a couple of big incidents just not bring out the caution flag, but we are only one incident away from that yellow flag flying and seeing the field sort of close up again, but so far not happened. Meanwhile, the leaders are catching up to Roger Clark, Shane Byrne, Russell Bracker as well. Maddie Ray up in this pack too. But currently the top 3 are pretty much in a league of their own. But this is where we could see an incident, as there is a whole mix of different cars on different strategies, different laps and different positions.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just looking back at 4th and 5th, Phil Otto and Jamie Curvis. They are both running together, so they're working together to try and catch this lead group, but they are a whopping 19 and a half seconds down.
Yeah, this long green flag period and a few mistakes in pit lane has really cost a few drivers. And well, we saw Nan Curvis, he came out just behind this lead group, but crucially he was out of the draft, and that has really cost him in this race, unfortunately. But it could still come back to him. Remember, he's one of those cars that extended his stint length. If he can make it with just 2 more stops, whereas everybody else needs to make a splash and dash, it could well come back to him.
It could, but I doubt it. I think he needs to try and go for the undercut to try and get back onto the tail of those leaders.
Yeah, but we have seen with Norman Clark, it's not a huge advantage. You've got to get out there with a decent pack, as bit of a wall slap there for the 84 of Russell Bracker. We know that car is quick, but he's just taken a bit of a slap in the wall. And Shane Bowen as well up in the wall, just about saves that one. But it is getting really treacherous out there. These cars are starting to get very, very, well, they're looking a little bit tight on the racetrack, struggling to get into the corners as Roger Clark gets up into the barrier as well. And all around goes Russell Bracker, he just saves it. These cars are looking tight and loose at the same time. We've got a whole mix of cars that are looking very tricky to drive out there, Mark. And it is looking like the SRM cars are really struggling in this stint.
Yeah, definitely. And it's unusual because we've only got these guys have only done between 23 and 22 laps on this set of tyres. So it's very strange. All I can think of is that the guys are getting up a little bit higher than they normally are, and grabbing some extra rubber on those tyres, and it's not cleaning themselves off, and they're coming back down track and turning in, and it's breaking loose on them.
Absolutely. Well, we've had almost 100 laps. It'll be 100 laps this time of green flag running, and that will leave those marbles up on the high side and down low as well. So that is going to make it very, very dirty out there, and I think that is exactly what's happening, Mark. Is we've seen it every time there's been a bit of an incident. It's been people running that high line, and they've been up on the outside there where all of that debris and detritus will sit from the tyres, getting the dirt on the tyres and then struggling to get it through the exit, the back end stepping out. So very much looks like it is just the fact that we've got so many marbles on the outside here, and that is definitely causing issue through the exit of the corner. So I'm sure everybody would like to see a caution just to get them just to allow some sweepers out there to clean that high line up, because it is really, really rough out there. As we see a couple of cars in the background there, I think Maddie Ray was one of them, just giving the wall another little kiss. Uh, 88 laps to go here at Talladega for this, the ANZCAR Legends Winston 500, and it is currently Hamish Gallagher leading with Josh Micklemore. They've got a good 2 second lead over this man, Edward Foster, our third place man. It is looking good at the moment for Mitch Motorsport, as Russell Brack has got a huge moment as he goes off, and this could well bring out the caution flag. Will we see the caution fly? No. We get away without the caution there, but what's happened to Russell Bracker here? Let us go back and find out from this replay. We'll jump up to the blimp cam, and again the rear end steps out. He has a huge tank slapper. Up into the wall he goes, and that is a huge amount of damage for the 84. A huge shame for our American driver, and that is got to be the end of his race tonight here at Talladega.
Yeah, I think that's not over for Bracker. A lot of damage. Once you get those noses into that wall, outside wall, inside wall, that tends to do a lot of damage to cooling and other things. So we're basically down to a six car or horse race, if you like, but sixth place now, 42 seconds off the leader of Micklemore. Nan Curvis in fifth place, 27 seconds off the leader. Otto in fourth is 26 seconds off the leaders also. So it's Micklemore, Gallagher and Foster really finding out for this. But as you said, Carl, Foster's now at 1.3 seconds back off the rear of Gallagher.
Yeah, Foster's sitting, he's sort of just out of that bubble at the moment, but he's getting closer as he's catching on Martin, and we probably will see Foster's speed just absolutely creeping up here as he's now getting into that bubble range, but he seems to be happy where he is. We'll see if he can close the gap a little bit here as he comes across the tri-oval. And we'll see what speed he gets up to on the back straight, because he's sort of sitting in a decent spot, you've got to say, but maybe he's just letting a little bit more, just letting the car breathe a little bit and not worrying too much about top speed, because he might just be wanting to save a couple of laps of fuel here, but ideally you want to be as close to the car in front as possible for that, but he's sort of stuck in that 1.6 second gap. He just really needs to close that up a little bit to get himself secure and keep him in touch with the Mitch crew up the front, who are doing a fantastic job tonight. And Well, you've got to say, a big shame for Jason Martin, who had a connection issue. But he's back out on track, and luckily, crucially, he's up there with his teammates, so he can aid them out in this race and be a bit of a team player.
Yeah, definitely. And we just seen there the sixth place sitter, Aiden Schultz, go a lap down. So now only have 5 cars on the lead lap. Now, there's been a position change also for 4th and 5th. Jamie Nankervis has been able to get in front of Phil Otto.
I wonder if it was a bit of an orchestrated swap around just to help with the fuel mileage on the cars, as Phil Otto drops in behind. We saw Aiden Schultz give the wall a little lick as well, and Matty Ray doing the same. These cars are getting awfully tricky to drive, and I think it's to do with the track as well. Track temperature, let's quickly bring up the weather report. As track temperature 26 degrees still to 44 degrees air temperature, but all of the rubber on the track is really hurting as Aiden Schultz gives the wall another huge lick, manages to save it, manages to get the car back out, but that was a big incident indeed. And I'm just seeing that Russell Brack has managed to get the car resurrected and back out on track, so good job from the SRM mechanics there, getting that car back out on track and into this race. And he's going to be racing with Jason Martin. Both of them are 6 laps down, so we've got a few different races happening, but at the moment you've got to say it is well, it's looking like it's going to be a 2-horse race between Mickelmore and Gallagher, as Foster about 2 seconds off the lead. He is going to be wanting to close that gap if he can, but it's not really happening for him at the moment. And those Mitch cars have looked absolutely mighty all race long. Their race pace has been fantastic.
You definitely are correct there, Carl. And as you said, just hard luck for Martin. Otherwise, I think he's still up there running on the lead lap with with his 2 teammates. Going a very strong across the race at the moment. They're extremely strong cars. Haven't seen any issues so far for these boys. So let's see if they can keep going for another 80 laps.
Yeah, the only issue for Mitch Motorsport has been that connection issue for Jason Martin. Otherwise, it has been a very decent race for these Chevy Monte Carlo. Well, for the Chevy Monte Carlo of Josh Mickelmore, the Thunderbird of Hamish Gallagher, and the Monte Carlo of Martin. But it's going to be an interesting one to the finish, because I'm sure both Josh Mickelmore and Hamish Gallagher want to get this victory equally. That there will be no team orders in play there, and it will be a absolute dash to the finish if they stay in this position. But they've got to stay in this position to the end to have that opportunity to race each other. Otherwise, they are going to have to really work hard to stop some cars from behind getting up. And that car at the moment is Edward Foster, but he is dropping. He's up to 3 seconds back now, just losing the pack. And well, he is leading this group of cars, which is Foster, Bowen, Norman Clark and Aiden Schultz, but they're all a lap down. Foster is the only car on the lead lap in that group, and he is having to lead that pack to try and close the gap, and it's well, not going to be helping his fuel mileage at all.
No, definitely not. As we say that, they are now come around to complete 35 laps on this stint tyre, so they are definitely moving on with it. Be interesting to see how much fuel these guys can get in, whether they have to take the whole stop, or they can get a quick fueled quicker.
Yeah, we'll see how that one plans out. We've got a good race for 6th and 7th here between Bowen and Aiden Schultz. Shane Bowen, quiet night in the 308, just keeping himself plugging along. We see this from Shane, just absolutely keeping himself in the top 10, but being very quiet about it. And he's doing a good job at the moment, just keeping himself in that position. Doesn't look like he's had any major incidents, just keeping that car out of trouble as Aiden Schultz brings it into the lane. So Aiden Schultz has decided it's time to pit for the next stop. He's done about 34 laps on that stint. So a little bit early, that's going to leave him a little bit vulnerable to needing to come in again for a bit of a splash and dash. But remember, he didn't take tyres last time round on the left side, so he's going to be probably wanting to get some fresh boots on that car, get back out and get back into this race. Meanwhile, Micklemore and Gallagher up the front, 36 laps in. How long can they extend this stint? It's going to be crucial to extend it as long as possible to make it just a little bit easier to get to the end.
Otto's in this lap. And then Curvis in this lap. Foster in this lap.
Okay. Oh, it is a little bit... They are a little bit short here.
Leaders are in. Leaders are in. Oh.
Big lock up there for Josh Micklemore.
Yeah, I don't know if he got that pulled up in time.
Is not going to help him if he gets a penalty. We'll keep our eyes on Micklemore here and see if he ends up with a penalty. That could really change the outcome of this race for Mitch Motorsport. Big lock-up, of course. You know, getting these cars stopped is not easy in the first place, but when you're on a super speedway, the brakes are very, very cold when you come into the lane, and it's very easy to lock them up. So let's see if they all get away here, as we see Otto going out and Micklemore gets out, so he pulled it up in time. Crucially, he pulled that up in time. Foster, he is going to come out behind them, and he didn't manage to close that gap, unfortunately, and that's going to really hamper him as this race continues. I was wondering if we'd see Foster maybe trying to take maybe even double stint in the tyres, trying something different just to close the gap up to the Mitch Motorsport boys.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I think he's Foster's seen what's been going on around him, and probably decided definitely got to take tyres. But the person now that's really in danger is Phil Otto here, and he will go a lap down. So 6th place back to a lap down.
Yeah, he drops down the lap. Meanwhile, Matty Ray is sticking it out there for the long stint. He's managed to get back on the lead lap, so a caution now would really help Matty Ray out. Of course, he got done for speeding in the pit lane, had to serve a penalty, and that really ruined his race because, he was looking very, very good for making it to the end with just one more stop. Just done some quick calculations, and the leaders are about a lap to 2 laps short on this race, and they could well find themselves in an unenviable position as this race comes to an end, just needing to come in for a quick splash and dash, and I think we may be able to quickly grab Aidan Schultz to the booth. Let's see here. Aidan Schultz, welcome to the booth, mate. Not where I want to be seeing you in this race. What's going on?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you?
Yes, we are good here. Not so good for you, I take it.
Mate, we were having fun. That's what it's about. And, yeah, it was good racing at the front while it lasted. But, tell you what, these cars are tricky around there. It's definitely no NASCAR, like the real, new NASCARs anyway. So, I was having fun there, and just don't hit the outside wall off turn 2 too many times is what I can say.
Oh no, it's points, I take it?
No. Just
damage?
Car didn't have enough, and we had another hour left, and I was just like, a lot of people seems like they fell into the same trap, and just exhausted, and just thought, I'll just pull it over and let the boys run. But it was fun. It was definitely fun. I can't wait for the next one.
Oh, it's a shame to hear you out, but well done for having some good pace there tonight. We saw you had some good pace in the early stages. Just unfortunately, the magnets in the wall playing nasty with you tonight.
I can't blame the magnets. I'll blame ability, I think. Let's go ability. I've gone back to a single screen now because when I was moving the other day, I broke one of my triples, so navigating around that and everything. But no, I was having an absolute ball, and it was great racing by everyone. But we can't blame the magnets, Carl. Come on, it's ability. Let's do it.
Oh look, I'm always one to blame magnets. Magnets, how do they even work? We don't know. Look,
I've
good.
blamed magnets for the last 3 years, mate. I think
Yeah.
that's getting old.
That's it. Always blame the magnets. Look, great to see you back on track, mate. We look forward to seeing you next time out as well. Have a good relax after this one. Have a nice drink as well, because it's definitely a rehydration time, I think, after running 100 laps at Talladega in these absolute beasts.
Yeah, mate, and from me to everyone as well at ANZCAR, it's been good to be back after a little bit of a hiatus, so a big happy Easter everyone, and thanks to putting it on, and I'll go and have a couple of Easter bunnies and a drink of water or two, and yeah, be back next time. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Look after yourself, Aidan. Great to hear from you, and look, hopefully when we see you next time up here in the booth, it will be for better circumstances indeed.
We can only hope so, mate.
Cheers. Have a great Easter, mate.
You too, mate. Take care.
Aidan Schultz out, unfortunately, just hitting the wall a few too many times, and we've seen it a few times tonight. People really struggling with this car on the exit, as Russell Bratker's had a bit of a moment as well. Let's see what's happened here for the 84 as we come through, and he's going to have the same issue, I think, of just running up a little bit too high. Let us see what happens here. Through the corner he goes. And does that Monte Carlo rob up to the wall? Back end just gets a little bit loose, and bang, into the wall goes Bratker. That is another painful hit for that car, and again, just struggling out there tonight. These guys really having to work hard to get these cars through to this race, as Matty Ray pulls it into the pit lane and has pulled it out for his second to last stop. Can he come back in this race with his strategy, or will we see it being a Mitch Motorsport lockout up at the front? They've got a good 10-second lead over this man, Edward Foster, in third position, who is a bit Billy No-Mates at the moment. Foster is sort of stuck in a position with nobody around to really help. He's sort of in a bit of an unenviable position at this stage of the race, and just having to run around all on his lonesome. He does have about 35 seconds back to fourth place man Jamie Nankervis, but gotta say at the moment it is looking very, very good for this man Josh Micklemore, who has been leading pretty much all race long with Jason Martin. Let's just bring up the driver summary, and we can see those laps led. 40 laps so far for Micklemore, 28 for Gallagher, and Jason Martin will have had 23 laps led. So Josh Micklemore and Mitch Motorsport have been the class of the field so far. These setups really working for this car. They've absolutely got these cars nailed, and could be a little bit surprising being it's a multi-car team. That can sometimes play a little bit of havoc with the setup, as we've got the Monte Carlo and the Thunderbird for Micklemore and Gallagher respectively, but they are making it work absolutely perfectly. Jamie Nankervis linking up to the back here with Phil Otto, so they're trying to get themselves in a good position at the moment to get themselves through to the end of this race, and they could be looking for a decent finish as well, as they're sitting in 4th and 5th at the moment, so they are definitely looking for a top 5 here. It's all going to come down to the final stops and see who can make it. We'll do a quick workout as well.
Tell you what, Carl, this is a bit scary here, where we got lap cars and the leaders all together, and sorry, the 4th and 5th car are about to go a lap down. So bit of a scary bit of racing here for those two leaders.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy here. Now I've just done a quick workout. They need to make it to about lap 150. They can possibly make it home from lap 148 as well, but that's going to be very touch and go. We've only seen a couple of cars make it. Oh, Phil Otto has a big slide. He's going round. They all miss him. Very well held by Phil Otto there. Got the power down and drifted it round and made sure he didn't spin in front of that group. But that could have been disastrous for that lead pack. And just as you were saying, Mark, the leaders sort of fighting their way through that group of cars. If Otto had gone around in front of them, that could have been night over for one of these two drivers up at the front as they got caught up in it. But very well driven by everybody there to save that one, because that looked like it was going to be a disastrous incident. We'll jump on board with Phil here and just get an idea, because he's sort of had this happen. Let's jump on board from the driver's eye view. He's had this one happen and he's done a great job of saving it. So through the corner he goes up a bit high, back end steps out, and he just keeps it in the right direction. Because if he had sort of gassed it up too much or slammed on the brakes, that could have been a huge accident.
Yeah, definitely right there, Carl. Very, very good driving there from Otto. But Nankervis up into the wall. We're gonna
into Roger Clark. Roger Clark is holding it. He's round. He's gonna hold it. He holds it. Save of the night for Roger Clark there. I was sure that was going into the infield wall and going to be causing an incident. But geez, we've seen some great saves so far tonight. These cars not easy to save, but we've seen some big moments. Roger's got some damage to the front right, I reckon, because he's going to need to bring it into the lane. Let's jump back and see the replay of that one. We'll jump up to the blimp cam and see what's happened here, because Nankervis just clipped the wall, and that was almost a massive accident.
And Nankervis just up high. Again, just getting into those marbles on that outside. And right there, gets sucked into the wall, gets out, gets back in. And unfortunately, it's just one of those racing incidents. But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind climbing on board and watching the reaction of Clark there in that save.
Well, let's jump to the helmet cam of Roger Clark and get an idea of what amount of work he had to put in to save that car. So watch up in front. That's Nankervis up in front. He gets up high. This is where he's got to the marbles. He's going to get sucked up into the wall. Just on the exit, you see the back end just stepping out. Roger's going to go underneath. Gets clipped. Lifts off. Save. Drops it down a gear, crucially, and dropping it down a gear and shifting up again is what saved him there. If he'd sort of downshifted too much, that could have really ended his night, but he did a great job of getting that car in for the save, but it has led him into the pit lane for some major repairs, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, he's not had a great return to sim racing in the last couple of weeks, but nevertheless, he's still going to be classed as a finisher, and there is he
10th at the moment.
He's 10th at the moment, so got a few laps on Tristan Koch, so if he can get back out, he'll probably get 10th, but just depending on whether he can actually get back out.
So just with Foster here, 10 seconds to Hamish Gallagher, the gap, and he is trying to keep it there. He's kept it at 10 seconds, and it's been closing up a little bit on the Mitch boys. So it's still not over for Foster, but it is going to be a hard climb up to get ahead into that position. So it's going to be a long old night for Edward Foster. to try and get himself back up into the lead pack, as we see Jason Martin just re-emerging onto track as he's made his pit stop, and he will be coming back out. So the crucial lap is going to be 149 to 150. That is the lap they need to make it to get to the end without another stop. It's going to be a very important lap to get to.
We see here now that Hamish Gallagher is going to take the lead and use a little bit more fuel and try and drag Micklemore through to that lap, that crucial lap, as you were saying, Carl.
Yeah, Micklemore's been leading for the past few laps, so they're just swapping it over now just to save each other, as we may have lost Jamie Nankervis from this race, unfortunately. Looks like another connection issue for Nankervis as well, so we've had a couple of the little connection gremlins playing up today, and really unfortunate for Nankervis, who was having a solid run up there in 5th position. That is devastating for him, and a real shame to see him drop out from a technical failure there. But, well, Gallagher's got a bit of a wiggle on right now. He's pulled up a bit of a gap over Micklemore, and he is absolutely flying out on track at the moment. The 13 is pulling ahead, and, well, this is it's going to be interesting. They need to make another 20 or so laps on this stint to get it home with just the one more stop. That might not be the easiest thing. We've not seen the Mitch cars make it to more than about 37 laps on a stint. So they are going to have to really stretch this stint out to get to the end with just one more stop.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for them, but if anyone can do it, it's these two. Although Hamish has pulled a little bit of a gap out, I would have thought that he would have wanted to keep Micklemore in under his tail. But we do now see them moving up on the back of Martin. So I'd say that they'll probably hook him behind Martin and just run there.
Yeah, Martin, after that connection failure, he's down in 10th position. He's just made his stop as well, so that's really good news for those two behind, because he can now be the sacrificial lamb that pulls these two Mitch Motorsport cars along. And Martin's going to be able to keep some really good pace in that car on those fresher tyres too. So he's got fuel, he's got fresh tyres, and he's going to be able to lead his teammates here. So this is looking very good for Mitch Motorsport. And, well, in the last lap, they've just pulled out 2 seconds almost over Edward Foster. They are absolutely flying now. And this is going to be really bad news for Foster, who's about 11.5 seconds behind now. He needs to really get some lapped cars to help him out here, because otherwise he's going to be in serious trouble, and he could be in a position where he needs to bring it into the lane a lap or two shy of that fuel target as well. So it's going to be a tense finish for these drivers. They've got to make it to lap 149 to get home comfortably. Lap 48 will be a little bit of nursing. Lap 47 will be very hard indeed.
Sorry, Carl, it's not just the guys in the race having technical issues at the moment. I keep losing my mic. So I do apologise if I leave you in the lurch there.
Oh, that is okay. I mean, you need to get a chain around it or something like that to stop it running away from you, Mark.
Yes, I do.
Now we've got a good battle down here at 4th and 5th position. This is Bowen and Otto. They are battling it out for those final couple of spots in the race, the top 5 positions. They're sitting in a good position to hold that on, as they're about a lap ahead of this man, Lachlan Urquio, in 6th position. Down in 7th, we've got Norman Clark, who's managed to get the race coming back to him after an early stop. He's got ahead of Matty Ray, so not terrible for Norman Clark, and now he's linked up with the leaders and trying to keep himself just on the 2-lap mark. He's 2 laps down at the moment, but he is catching Lachlan Urquio, so he could well find himself getting a little bit closer up. Matty Ray, unfortunate for him, got a speeding penalty in the lane, and that dropped him down to 8th position. He had a very good fuel strategy going, was looking very good for the final part of this race, but it all fell apart for SRM in that midsection of the race, be it with little issues of the cars running wide, the rear end stepping loose, and speeding penalties. Jason Martin, we saw him have a connection issues, managed to get back out on track, but he is down in 9th position, 6 laps off the lead. Roger Clark, our final car in the top 10, is 8 laps down. He had to come in for some major mechanical repairs, and he's going to be hoping he can hold on to that 10th spot. We've lost Jamie Nankervis, Russell Bratka, Aidan Schultz, Ruben Feltz and Scott Lefebvre from this race. Tristan Koch currently down in 12th position. He's 19 laps off the lead after taking a heavy crash in the race, but he's managed to get the car repaired and back out on track, and he could well find himself in P11 if he continues on, and if we see any more retirements, he could find himself with a top 10 finish here at Talladega.
But we still see out front with excuse me, with Martin playing that sacrificial lamb, leading this lead 2, and really doing a great job of breaking the wind for these 2 guys that need to save fuel.
Yeah, he is being an absolute champion team player, but that's not a surprise from Mitch Motorsport. We know they work well together. They do a lot of endurance racing now as well, and that requires the utmost teamwork, of course, and they've had some good success in the Enduros, so it is going well. But they are, well, they're doing well, and meanwhile, Bowen and Otto have managed to link up with Foster, and they are going along at a decent speed, because up in front of them, Gallagher and Micklemore are fuel saving. They've dropped down to about the 48s, so they are losing time. They are in heavy fuel saving mode, because they cannot make it to the end by the looks of things, so they're needing to save. Foster is closing the gap. He's now 4 seconds behind. Gap is closing at a vast rate of knots, about 2 seconds a lap at the moment, and Foster could well find himself back up with this lead pack, but he is using fuel as he does it. Remember, Foster came in the same lap as the Mitch Motorsport guys, so that is not really going to be helpful, using up all this fuel, but at least he can close the gap. Meanwhile, Mitch Motorsport have now started to put their foot down as they notice that gap closing. They don't want Foster getting too close to them, so they are now starting to get their heads down. But this could be good news for Foster. If they start using up fuel again, it could get him back into this race. So, crucial games at play here. Drivers saving, drivers using fuel. It is going to be crucial to make it to about lap 150. That is the magic lap to get home without too much saving involved. Anything prior to that, you're going to need to do a little bit of management to get it home with a full tank of gas.
It's definitely going to be interesting with the fuel, Carl. As you said, if they don't make that 150, they will not make it home. They will need a splash. So 9 laps, they need to make another 9 laps. So Norman Clark's in this lap.
So Norman Clark's going to need to stop one more time in this race. That early pit stop has really hampered Norman Clark's race. and that just shows, you know, if you just come off strategy a little bit, it can really affect you as this race goes on. Stopping on lap 22, Norman Clark has really struggled in this race. He's only done about 28 laps on this stint, so he must be really struggling with fuel economy in that car, because he can't make it home from here, from our calculations. So it's going to be a quick splash and dash for him at the end, which is not perfect for Norman, but he does have a fairly healthy gap over Matty Ray, so it shouldn't affect his position too much, but yeah, it has really thrown the old strategies off. Meanwhile, Foster, he's dropping back now, again, 8 seconds the gap to Josh Micklemore in front, and I'm sure he would like to be closing the gap, but ideally he'd like to be sitting behind some cars as well, just to try and manage that fuel a little bit, because it is very, very close to being a tricky one to make it home on.
Yeah, definitely. I know where he'd rather be. Rather be right up on the back of that 31 car of Micklemore. So just have to wait and see. You know, funnier things have happened. All we need to see is maybe our first caution for the afternoon, and his prayers will be answered.
45 laps to go. We've had 23 changes of the lead, 8 different leaders, 0 cautions tonight, but we have had a couple of big incidents that have been close to bringing out the yellow, but everybody managing to get it off track in the nick of time to not bring out the caution flag. So we have been clean green running here, and 144 laps of Talladega in these cars is a endurance test, Mark.
Endurance test plus, Carl. Definitely not something that I'd like to be doing on a Sunday afternoon. But as we said, you know, these blokes will be definitely looking for some water and maybe a personal pit stop of their own by the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, it's such a tricky car to drive as well. It's a lot of correction, a lot of getting this car in the right position. What we'll do is jump back to Foster right now and jump into his cockpit to get a bit of an idea of just the driving, just the amount of effort needed. We'll jump onto the helmet cam, and it's all about those small corrections and keeping the car in the right position. There's a lot of work that goes on, and you know, it's this stage of the race as well where you start getting cramps in your legs, you start getting your hands start to ache, everything starts to just get a little bit tougher, and it's very easy to make a mistake. Foster, very, very smooth driving style as well, so you won't see too many corrections out of him, but it is just keeping the concentration levels up, and that's the thing that really makes it tricky, as we see Foster hooning along at the moment and setting some good pace. Still got some good speed in that number 53 Natari car, but it is a lot of work to still go on. As always, Needham coming to the pit lane, so Foster could not make it home from here by my calculations. Foster into the lane, and we'll watch on board as he gets it slowed down. Foster and Bowen both pulling it into the lane. How many more laps can the Mitch Motorsport boys do? That is the question here. So Foster's going to need to stop again by our calculations. He's going to really struggle to make it home from there. He could do it, but it's going to have to do a little bit of nursing to get that car home, we think. So it's going to be a fairly tall order to get that car home from there. When will the Mitch Motorsport boys pull it in? They're getting ever closer to that crucial lap. So it looks like they've managed to save a decent amount of fuel here, and it is looking good for Mitch Motorsport.
It definitely are playing back into their hands now. what are we, lap 148. So they need to make 2 more laps, and then they can get in the pit lane and take their last service.
We'll keep our eyes on the leaders here and see when they pull it in. They're now crucially in that stage where they can make it home without too much saving. It's looking very good for the 13 and the 31 of Gallagher and Micklemore here today even, for the Winston 500 here on Performance E Streaming. Of course, brought to you by Neuro Power. Big thank you to that little logo up in the left-hand side of the corner. A fantastic non-profit charity helping people with neurological issues and disabilities live a life of fun and interest, and helping them with mobility issues, and also helping them get out and enjoy some fun stuff as well. It's been good to see Tristo Yelland having some good runs recently. He's been out at the Speedway events and able to get some fun times for himself. And well, as somebody that has a couple of disabilities myself, it is always nice to see people helping others out who struggle. So please head over to Neuropower to help support them. Even just a share of the page will help in the support, if you cannot help financially, of course, or any other way. That's a very worthy cause indeed. As we see Martin pulling up, I think we're going to see the Mitch boys coming into the lane this time round, and they do indeed. Gallagher into the lane, so is Micklemore. They need to perfect this stop now. A lock up of the brakes or a speeding penalty would be disastrous. Lachlan Oakley just in front of them coming into the lane as well, and they are crucially in on lap 150, that crossover point that we talked about where they can make it home without too many issues.
So both cars in the pit, into their pit boxes. Perfect. Gallagher and Micklemore up on the right.
So we're going to jump on board with, well, just going to jump to Foster now, as he is coming flying around, and he's going to see those cars pulling out of the pit lane very, very shortly. Can he close that gap? He came in a little bit early to try and get that undercut working, and it might pay off for him. You can see down on the inside, that's the Mitch Motorsport boys. Foster's up to speed. He's going to come flying around the corner, and Foster has managed to jump ahead of the Mitch Motorsport boys. He took a shorter stop. I didn't see if he took tyres or not, and I get the feeling he didn't take left side tyres, because he did a 17-second stop in that run. He was about 40 seconds through the lane. Mitch Motorsport 44 seconds, but this has jumped Foster up into the lead of the race.
Going back to check on that, Carl, for us.
Yeah, if you could, that would be grand, Mark, because I get the feeling that Foster has done a nice short stop, and this has helped him get the lead of the race. Now he has to just eke out the fuel mileage to get to the end of this race, and well, he came in a couple of laps shy of that magic number. Can he make it to the end on fuel? That's going to be the crucial part now. And can he stay out in front of Hamish Gallagher, who is closing in at a vast rate of knots? So the advantage of Mitch Motorsport now is they don't need to really worry about fuel. Foster, he might need to drive to a fuel number here, so this could be crucial come the end of the race. Will we see Foster coughing and spluttering, or will we see him taking another win in the Crown Jewel Series, of course? It's going to be interesting to see what he can do.
Okay, Carl, I've just been back and checked. I can tell you he took rights only.
Will that gamble pay off? We saw Aidan Schultz struggling a little bit with the rights only earlier on, Will the Natari car manage to stay out and stay on all four wheels with that gamble? It's paid off at the moment because it's got him up into the lead of this race and got him there. So we got to see how this one works out, and he's working really well with Shane Bowen at the moment. Bowen is the first car a lap down. He's in 4th position, as always with Shane, as we say, just quietly chipping away, working his way up through the order and doing a good job at the moment, sitting in 4th place and working very well with the 53 of Foster, as Gallagher wants to close that gap. It's not really working for him at the moment, but he has now got Martin out of the pit lane in front of him. So the Mitch boys are linking up, all 3 of those cars about to link positions and get themselves into, well, a fighting stance as the laps tick down here at Talladega for the Winston 500.
Now, early on in the race car, we did see once those 3 Mitch boys cars team up, they were a rocket ship, all 3 of them together.
Yeah, absolutely. They really are racing very well together, and they've worked so well with each other all race long, you got to say.
Yeah, and you got to also look there. I think there's Lachlan Urquio there at the back of that pack. Now, the 4 of them stay together, they will be a lot quicker than the two cars out in front.
Yeah, they're going to want to really link up with each other, and they are closing that gap. It's now down to 1.2 seconds, 1.1 second. It's below a second. Here they come. They are flying along at the moment, and they are going to be catching very, very quickly. Let's pull up the speed of these cars because they are really, really coming along nicely. And you can see now the speed of 140, almost 150 kph, and Gallagher has closed right up using all 625 ponies underneath the bonnet. He has got up and he's about to take the lead. Foster going to drop down, try and stop that from happening, but I imagine Foster will probably want to just slip in behind Gallagher if he needs to fuel save a little bit. So this will be telling here, but he doesn't want to let those Mitch boys run away with it. We've seen how the Mitch cars have been able to run away with the race and really get themselves in a good position.
The one good thing that's happened here is Bowen's been able to get in and split that group up, and Foster moves up high. He's done exactly what you said, Carl. He's going to let the Amish run and break the wind for him.
And a big shout out and thank you to everybody joining us today for this race. It's always lovely to see you chatting away in the comments, and quite a few comments up there as well. And just saw from Steve Hoppett, unfortunately, health issues stopping him from jumping in this race. As all Bowen making a little bit of contact with Micklemore there, just as he got up in the wall. That could have been a nasty one, and that's broken this pack up. And now Gallagher is wanting Foster to lead. Games being played at the front. They know Foster's going to be struggling for fuel, and they're going to try and shuffle him to the front of this pack as much as they can. That is going to really play out. So it's all tactics and strategy now to see how this one plays out. Let's jump back to that replay with Bowen and... was it Bowen? Was it?
Yeah, it was Bowen.
Yeah. With Josh Micklemore. Or was it Koch? Let's see. Here, as we go through, because I saw Tristan Koch had a bit of a moment as well. It was Tristan Koch, sorry, not Shane Bowen. Sorry, it was Tristan Koch having an initial incident, and just sort of causing them to break up a little bit. And then I think we had a second incident a bit further along with Bowen as well. Let's just zip forwards a little bit here because our camera pack information just just doesn't make it too easy to get the right little bits sometimes, as that was quite a few laps ago. So there's been a couple of close calls for the leaders in this race, but they've all gotten away with it. So this is that little incident with Bowen and Micklemore, and Bowen's back end just steps out a little bit. He slides down into Micklemore. They link up, but luckily they managed to break it up in the nick of time, and we do not see an incident deciding this race. But meanwhile, up at the front, Mitch Motorsport have linked up Martin, Gallagher and Micklemore. Foster needs to stay onto the back of this pack if he's got a chance of getting up to the win of this race. Third place looking pretty secure for himself, but he needs to stick on the back of this pack to make it work, to try for the victory.
The other thing, though, Carl, is that both Bowen and Foster came in on the same lap, so they are both in the same predicament. So if they are running short on fuel, we may even see Phil Otto slide through and take third place if these two have to come down for fuel.
Yeah, that's it. Phil Otto having a very strong race tonight. He's sitting back there. He's almost lonesome at the moment, but he's only 15 seconds behind Bowen, and but crucially, he is a lap off Foster. So I think third place is secure, but fourth place is very much up for grabs with Phil Otto if Bowen cannot make it on fuel. We've lost Roger Clark from the race, unfortunately. He's taken a big spill and damaged the right front of the car and had to pull it behind the wall, and now he has the terrible task of having to cook some delicious ribs. So I hope he enjoys his lunch and his dinner, but a shame to see Roger Clark out of the race after having a very quick car all night. We'll have to get your tips on rib cooking now, Mark. We know that's out of my wheelhouse. So Norman Clark is pulling it in for his final stop, as well as Tristan Koch. Norman should be sort of secure in 7th position, but that off-kilter strategy has really not paid off for Norman tonight, but he's sitting there well. Meanwhile, the gap is growing between the leaders. Foster has got to get the speed up a little bit to keep on the back of these Mitch cars, who are absolutely flying at the moment. Let's jump up to Hamish Gallagher in a moment, because these cars are absolutely flying around the circuit and pulling out a decent gap. The gap is now up to 0.7 of a second between Foster and Micklemore, and he cannot afford to lose the back of these cars, but it does not look easy. This is going to be tricky for Foster to stay on there, and it is looking extremely good for the Mitch team. As we continue along here, and the race gets closer and closer to that checkered flag moment. It is Gallagher in the lead at the moment, with Josh Micklemore behind him. Mitch Motorsport really having a good run here tonight and keeping themselves up at the front of the field. Edward Foster, the only fly in the ointment for that team at the moment. He sits back in 3rd position, just a couple attempts off the lead, but it is a little bit unknown if Foster can make it to the end on his fuel load, but I'm sure he has worked it out to the exact margin, but we will find out soon. He's sitting just in a nice gap to the Mitch boys, and he's now closing it up as he gets a beautiful draft across the tri-oval. He's getting a huge run here, and he just lifts off, gives the brake a little tap as he enters the corner, just to scrub off that speed. Just maybe doing a couple of practice runs, getting an idea of what kind of run he needs for the finish of this race. Foster is playing with his food a little bit here as he gets a run on Josh Micklemore, and he looks to take a position here up into P2. And the racing is starting to heat up, and he's trying to break up that Mitch pack a little bit. If he can break them up a little bit and just cause them to not be able to run in absolute perfect order, he can just get them slightly into a position where he can take advantage of it. Shane Bowen just behind him in 4th position. He is a lap off of this battle, but he needs to crucially keep his fuel safe because he's in a race with Phil Otto for that spot. The battle for 4th and 5th is definitely on. Meanwhile, Foster moves up into 1st position, and he's going to try and slot himself between Gallagher and Jason Martin, and he does so perfectly. Breaks up the Mitch Motorsport train. Foster is just toying with that team at the moment, and now Martin's going to have to drop back a little bit because he does not want to be leading Foster. So Martin now dropping back a little bit here, and the race is very much on for this win here for the Winston 500, the ANZCAR Crown Jewel event here in the Legends Series, the 87 cars.
Yeah, look, Foster's a great driver for these cars, and we know what he can do. So it's definitely going to be on from here to the end. But as we've all said, as you and I said, Carl, can he make it on fuel?
Yeah, that's going to be a real crucial part, is the fuel. It is the only question. Foster, he has done 4 more laps than the leaders, and crucially came in just at that sort of iffy point of the race where it's not looking absolutely certain if he can make it home with the fuel he's got. But he is definitely making this race a race for the Mitch boys and not making it easy for them. So we are getting some great pack racing here and some real classic stuff in these cars. And look, I've said it a few times tonight, but I absolutely adore these cars. They are some of the best racing NASCARs, the best racing stock cars in any sim, any version of sim racing. And it's just a shame we don't get to play with them more often, Mark.
No, definitely not. You know, they always produce some great racing, and really you really got to manhandle them. The spectators really don't understand how much they move around under you. So hats off to these guys this afternoon for putting on some great racing.
Jump back to Josh Mickelmore here and jump on to the helmet cam to get a bit of an idea in the draft sort of situation, because this is where they start to really move around. Now, you know, a lot of people say, well, the 87 car doesn't have any aero. Well, they have a surprising amount of aero. They do produce downforce, they do produce wake, they do produce dirty air, and they do get, there's a little bit of contact up at the front between Gallagher and Foster. We can see that there from the onboard. Gallagher just trying a bit of a bump and run there on Foster, and they're starting to get some rub in his racing here. But these cars do produce downforce. They're not like the 70s cars, which, you know, they technically had downforce, but it was downforce in, let's put the biggest wing possible on the back of this thing and see what happens. These things have a little bit more science involved, as Foster just gives them all a rub, so does Gallagher in front of them. But they're nothing like a modern car. You know, they are more mechanical grip, and with that you can get lots more speed through them. But it does mean that you have to be very much on it and constantly adjusting the car, constantly correcting it as well. And when you get behind another car, especially in a corner, it can really throw you off as well. So the racing is getting very, very spicy indeed up at the front between Gallagher and Foster. Those two giving each other a nice little rub here and there, and absolutely nose to tail. They are really going for it as we jump up into the blimp and see how this race is going from the bird's eye perspective.
I'm just listening to a little bit of chat on the radio. Maybe jump on board helmet cam very quickly with Gallagher. Both of those drivers now talking about not being able to see out of the front front windscreen, and you see there the rubber that is peppered all over that windscreen. So that also comes into play too.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're following a car, you get all kinds of dirt and debris on the windshield. Not much oil, unfortunately. That would be a great addition to add to these cars. Just a little bit of oil out the back of them. Because in full metal racing of this period, you tended to have a fair amount of oil streaks on the front that you couldn't see through. But you can just see how dirty it is. It is very much catching all the rubber and the dirt. And if we look from the gyro cam as well, you can see just how many spicks of rubber are up on the windshield. And that does start to affect your vision. It bothers you as well, because you're looking out there and you've got these little black things all across the windshield, and they just catch your attention sometimes.
100% right, Carl.
And unlike in a single seater, you can't just rip a tear off and see straight away. You've got to get that cleaned in the pit lane. These cars didn't have the lovely tear off strips of the windshield either. You can't just rip a big windshield off back in this day and age. It was all done with a bit of newspaper, a bit of a rag, and some spray bottles.
So we're closing on 10 to go. Foster seems to be not worried about the fuel here, because he's out front and really driving the tyres off this Thunderbird.
It's Thunderbirds go up at the front between Foster and Gallagher, and I've been sitting on that one for all race, waiting to use it. Finally have, and I'm sure I'm going to get punched by somebody for it, but it was worth it. They are up the front, and Josh Micklemore just behind in the Monte Carlo. He is hoping, he's just waiting, and he's just absolutely waiting to pounce, and you know that from Micklemore. He is a very smart driver. He is absolutely sat there waiting to see what happens, and waiting for those final few laps. And well, as we know from experience, Mark, leading on a super speedway is not the best place in that final lap.
No, yeah, 100% right, because you're always looking in the mirror. You're more concentrated on the mirror than where you're going, because you're waiting for that second and third car to have a run at you.
Absolutely, and we'll jump on board to the helmet cam of Foster here, and you can see, just looking in that rear view mirror up on the right hand side of the screen, the top right hand side, you can see Gallagher right behind you. And this is where you've got to just be cautious not to drive in your mirrors too much. You don't get a huge amount of view from the mirrors in the first place. There is the... I thought we were getting a move there as we saw Gallagher just dart down the inside as they were getting past the 83 of May Ray. But you do have a lot of these drivers use the virtual mirror as well, which is a bit of a wider mirror, gives you a bit better view, but still not a huge amount of vision out the back of these things. And of course you don't have any side mirrors, so you don't really get an idea of what's going on to the side of you. You're relying on your spotter for that. That is the most crucial part of the driving experience on an oval, is having that spotter there, just to let you know somebody's on the inside, somebody's on the outside. A few of the drivers, they've got multiple screen setups, which does give you a little bit more vision to the side, but it's still not great in these cars, and you still struggle just to see if a car's sort of in your blind spot. Anywhere behind that rear window of these cars, you can't see anything. You're just relying on your spotter to let you know that there's a car there, and you just need to rely on that to get it working. You see Martin trying to get a run here to get himself in the lead and possibly try and help pull along his teammates. Foster dropping down to defend at that now. So Foster's having to defend against, well, 3 Mitch Motorsport cars here, all on his lonesome. One of them is a couple of laps down in Jason Martin, but the two behind him of Gallagher and Micklemore, those are the two he really needs to worry about, and he has to defend as hard as humanly possible. But with Martin being down on that inside now, it gives that Mitch team an opportunity to get a run on the inside. Will we see Foster dropping down to stop Josh Micklemore? doesn't have the room to do it now. He is in an unenviable spot, and Martin can help his teammate along. And it looks like Josh Micklemore could possibly get himself up into the lead here. But Foster's managed to defend. He's dropped down low. That's given Hamish Gallagher the opportunity. This is a tough battle for Foster with 10 laps to go. After such a long race, after driving almost 420 miles so far, he now has to go full defensive driving against 2 cars on his lap, 2 cars fighting for position, as well as the teammate that's trying to help them out. And of course, no blue flags in oval racing, Mark. Teammates are there to do this kind of thing if they're around.
Yeah, definitely. And look, don't be surprised. He doesn't do it on purpose. But if Martin does start to really block Foster, he'll give him a couple of love taps and say, "Hey, this ain't motorsport. You want to block me? I'll give you a little nudge and try and help you out of the road." And that's all fair in love and war in this this type of motorsport. But we can see now that Foster has been blocked off from getting back up on that high line. But Martin just hasn't got the speed of Micklemore or Gallagher. So it's also working against them.
Yeah, and Foster is really having to drive defensively here. And look, as you said, look, a little bit of contact. It's stock car racing, baby. Look, rubbing is racing, as they say. It is all fair in love and war here, and that is the crucial part of stock car racing, the thing that we love. And now Martin, I think, he's just pulling out a little bit, going, all right, you three fight it out for this lead, for this win. I'm just going to sit back here now. It's all up to you. So 7 laps to go. It is Foster, Micklemore and Gallagher. That is the battle. 3 cars for the win of this 500-mile race. Who is it going to be? Which car will take the flag? Well, it's anybody's race.
Just keep an eye on. I thought I heard Foster say he's pitting.
He's dropped down low. He's dropped down low, and I think we're going to see Foster need to pit. Fuel was an issue. He's losing a little bit of speed here. He's dropped down out of the race, and he's going to come into pit lane. It was too early for Foster. We said it did not look good for his fuel mileage, and it is not looking good, as Foster has had to pull it into the lane for a splash and dash. We said that the Mitch boys should be able to make it home with fuel. Now is the time to see if that pays off. Foster had to pit with 6 laps to go. That's going to be heartbreaking.
Now, I'm just wondering though if the Mitch boys have used extra fuel. So Foster's now in his box. Fuel only. He's underway again. So he's lost about half a lap. He's going to have to get up to speed. If he doesn't get up to speed, he's going to end up going a lap down here.
He should be okay. He's still got about 10 seconds before the leaders catch him. But it is going to be, if these 2 cars can make it to the end, Shane Bowen having to pull it in, and that's given Phil Otto the position. Now, can Phil make it to the end? He's on the same strategy.
Phil's in pit lane this time by.
That is interesting because he's on the same laps as the Mitch boys. So if Phil Otto's needing to stop, does that mean that the Mitch boys need to stop? And look at this bump drafting going on between Micklemore and Gallagher. They are absolutely pushing each other along at the moment. Gallagher pushing Josh Micklemore along. Remember, Micklemore was sitting back there and just letting the car breathe a little bit, saving that little bit of fuel. Now, is Gallagher just trying to push him along a little bit, trying to get that fuel used up to try and stop him from... Or try and give Gallagher an opportunity for this race. They are absolutely nose to tail here and absolutely drafting like kings. Oh, one of the SRM cars just gives the wall a little rub. And I think that was Matty Ray just again giving that wall a little tiny nibble. But up here it is Gallagher and Micklemore. And we'll jump on board with Gallagher just to give you an idea of just how close these guys are racing. onto the nose cam we go. These two cars are absolutely nose to tail once they get onto the straighter sections of this track. And you can see right here, they are going for it. 3 laps to go. We are getting very close. Can they make it to the end without another stop? It's looking good for Mitch Motorsport right now. Definitely looking good. But which one of the cars will be taking victory? That is going to be the big question. As once again they close right up. And Gallagher's looking to take a pass on Micklemore here. So the two teammates are now fighting for the race win. Both of them will want to get this victory. Neither of them want to lose to their teammate. So the race is absolutely on.
Spot on, Carl. And you can see there in that from that shot, Foster's only just in front of him. So it's really going to be, can they get these last 2 laps in on this tank of fuel?
A big shout out to all the drivers competing today. Well done for keeping this race green. A great result, a great drive from everybody. We saw a couple of big incidents, unfortunately, a couple of cars taken out from damage, but we have not seen anybody bringing out the caution flag today. That has made this race a grueling endurance race for all of these drivers to get around these big lumps of cars for 500 miles of green flag running at Talladega. That is a workout for sure. Coming up to the line, it's Gallagher and Micklemore. The battle is absolutely on between these two cars as the white flag is flown. We're into the final lap. Who's going to take it? Gotta say, it's looking good for Micklemore. He's getting the run on Gallagher at the moment. He's got the speed on the exit of the corner. He catches the wall. Contact between Gallagher and Micklemore. They make contact. This could be it. Oh, there's a huge wreck going on. And Josh Micklemore's out. That's Josh Micklemore out. It's going to be Gallagher. Gallagher up the front. And it's going to be Hamish Gallagher taking victory here at Talladega. Where is Josh Micklemore going to be? Is this going to be the opportunity to Foster get second place? Has Micklemore got damage? We'll keep on Gallagher for the moment as he comes up to the line, takes victory for the 13, and it's Hamish Gallagher taking the win here at Talladega. Josh Micklemore, huge amounts of damage. Where is Foster? Can he catch up? Gap is closing, but no, it is Josh Micklemore. He's going to be in second place after a dramatic finish there for the end of the race.
Wow. What a great race.
Edward Foster will be coming home in third position. It's a long old lap to run for Foster. So he was almost a lap down, but he comes home in third position after that late fuel stop. But tonight it is, well, today I should say, there we go, I keep saying tonight, but today it is this man, Hamish Gallagher, taking victory. He is swift in many ways, but Taylor Gallagher takes the win here today at Talladega after a, well, dramatic end to the race between two teammates.
Yeah, I don't know what, well, obviously we know what happened is that they were trying to fight for the race winners. They normally do. They are, they are boys that will run.
Just quickly, Mark, Gallagher's out of fuel, I think, or he's switched it off to get it home, because that car has not got a running engine. That's how close they were to not making it home.
Wow. So if we had to go into overtime, they would have been in real trouble.
They would have been indeed, and well, this means that we doesn't look like we're going to see any donuts here, as Gallagher's got to just drift it up to victory lane. I think he's going to get a little bit of help from his teammate Josh Micklemore, who's got a little bit more fuel. A nice big bump there to get that car moving again. Bump starting it for Hamish Gallagher, and he's going to push it down to victory lane. But Hamish Gallagher takes the win here and is victorious, but without any fuel. Let us jump back and get that replay. So we will jump to that replay, hopefully. So the final lap we'll go for here, and just get a view here, because it looks like Josh just ran a bit wide. Might be a lap back here. And so I'm just waiting for my. So yeah, this was the prior lap. Let's just zoom forwards a little bit here as we get up to the point. So final lap here should be. We'll jump to the blimp cam. So Gallagher tries to get down the inside of him. I think it's the next lap. Sorry, my timing software has just jumped back a little bit too far. Let's get that back to that incident. Such a long lap around here at Talladega. Finding the right one can be a bit tricky. So we'll just go and rewind here and pull it up. So this all started through the corner, and Micklemore runs up wide, hits the wall, and then bounces down into Gallagher. And that's what caused that incident, and then makes contact with Lockie Urquio, and then is spinning around. But luckily, he had enough gap back to Foster to not lose that second place. So, as we finish this race, let's bring up our results page. As I find the right one to click, there we go. So it is Hamish Gallagher taking victory here today for the Winston 500, the ANZCAR Crown Jewel event. Josh Micklemore comes home in second place, with Edward Foster in third. Fourth place for Shane Bowen. Phil Otto comes home in fifth position after needing to make that late stop. Lachlan Occhio comes home sixth for highest of the SRM team. Norman Clark brings it home in seventh. Maddie Ray in eighth position. Ninth for Jason Martin. And Tristan Koch brings it home in 10th position. Roger Clark in 11th with Jamie Nankervis in 12th. 13th for Russell Bratker. Aidan Schultz in 14th. 15th for Ruben Phelps. And Scott Lefebvre out early with the incident. So a very entertaining race there, and well, a very dramatic end to it as well, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. As my mic goes on holidays again, definitely an interesting race. Unfortunate for Foster, just not working out, not being able to hold on to on the fuel and save just that little bit like the Mitch boys. But nevertheless, you know, once those Mitch boys, the three of them got together, they were really a rocket ship, all three of them.
Absolutely, some great stuff. And what we will do is we will start off with some interviews for the drivers. So we've given them a little bit of time, a little bit of extra time, just to get a breather in after that one. But we'll start off with our third place finisher for Atari, Mr. Edward Foster. Ed Foster, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on a third place here at Talladega for the Winston 500. A long race tonight, and just got caught out a little bit with the fuel there at the end.
Yeah, look, I didn't have a car, to be perfectly honest. So after the Mitch guys kind of broke away, there was no point trying to save fuel. I could see that they were saving because I started pulling back a little bit, but you know, if I brought a better car, I would have been able to force them a little bit more. But yeah, it was okay on its own. But as soon as I was behind somebody, even about 5 car lengths back or something, it just got super tight. And if somebody was behind me, I just got super loose. So I was just tried to manage that as best as I could. But those boys could pull away anytime they wanted to. They were so quick. So there was no point really fuel saving, just to sort of come out the way that I was. I thought I'll run hard, run flat out. If we get a caution, we get a caution, and maybe we can do something from there. But it's the way it turned out. Didn't get it, and come home third. So yeah, there we go.
No, not a terrible result, but look, a long race there, especially a long one under green flag conditions. It felt a little bit grueling from the outside. How did it feel from inside the cockpit and on the sim?
Look, there were times when it was really fun, and there were times when I was kind of on my own and not really doing much. So it was good fun trying to hang on to the back of the Mitch guys, and run with them because, when they decided to go, they could leave me behind after a few laps. So it was good fun sort of running in with them and running with Shane and Phil and all the other guys that I ran with throughout the night. But so it was it would have been nice to get a caution in there because it would have helped me out a lot for the result. But from behind the wheel, I can't complain.
No, I meant more so just physically.
Shoulder's a bit sore, mate. We'll get over it.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, congratulations on third place tonight, mate. Well done indeed. It's been a good couple of results for the Crown Jewel events. A win in one, third place in another. So now you just need a second to get all three ticked off.
Yeah, the next one's what? The next one is next Crown Jewel's Poke 600, so that's going to be, that's going to be hard. So and plus I'm not amazing at setting that next gen car up either. So a bit of work to do in between now and then. But obviously prefer to be first. But I think we'll see. We'll see a couple of other teams come in for that one as well, who are normally pretty quick. So if I can run top 5 there, I'll probably be pretty happy, I think.
All good, mate. Congratulations on tonight. Before I let you go, love, shout out, sponsors, people, go for it. You've earned it, mate.
Just shouts out to everyone that showed up and you guys for the broadcast and, everyone sort of out there watching, I guess, as well. Shouts out to the Mitch boys. They were so quick. They really, really brought a good car here. So absolutely deserved the result they got. And, haven't got any sponsors on the car, have I? It's just a made-up scheme. So don't even have to thank them. So I'm done.
All good, mate. Congratulations tonight. And I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth at some time in the year in the future, mate.
Yeah, that's showing a bit of faith, but I'll try.
Cheers, Ed.
See you guys.
Next up for Mitch Motorsport, it is our third place finisher, Mr. Josh Micklemore, as we just catch the tail end of that moment in slow motion. Josh, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on P2. A scary finish for you.
Yeah, it's scary in these bloody cars. They're so quick.
Talk us through what happened on that last lap.
I just ran out of track, unfortunately, on the exit there. Battling pretty hard for the win with Hamish, obviously, and didn't quite pull off at the end, but still pretty happy with second. And it was a good hard race at the end, so that's good.
Absolutely, and look, it was looking good for you fuel-wise. We jumped on board with Hamish on his cool-down lap, and we saw the car was not running very well. So looked like you'd done a little bit of saving in that final stint.
Yeah, myself and Hamish we did a fair bit of saving actually. So just to make it, we needed to save about 4 laps, I think, which we managed to. But it was going to be very tight at the end. I think I had a little bit more saves, but unfortunately a little wreck at the end stuffed it up, and getting caught up with Lockie at the end there as well. So, but no, it was a good fun race. First time I've really drove these cars as well, to be honest, and they're quite fun. Just need a few more out here though.
Absolutely, it would have been nice to see full field. I'm sure there would have been a couple of cautions if we had that one though. Look, a long race to run under green flag in these cars as well. How are your arms feeling?
Yeah, so our car was set up for the long run. Car got better and better as it went on. The first 15 odd laps it was a bit hairy, and then after 15-20 laps it was really good for the last 15 laps. You go hard as you can, hard as you want, pretty well. So long run, really good.
No, look, it looked like an absolute rocket ship out there tonight. We saw in qualifying as well with Jace up there, and you guys pretty much all at the front as well. It definitely looked like you got that setup absolutely fine-tuned.
Yeah, we're doing a fair bit of muck around the last week or so with it, and it's paid off obviously, and bit of a shame that Jace dropped out because he was just as quick as well. Obviously, like you said, he put in a blistering time in qualifying last night, so he would have been up there as well, I reckon. But bit unfortunate for that, but that's the way it is sometimes.
No, it's the closest thing we get to mechanical failures, so unfortunate to see that happen. But he was quite useful in that final final half of the race, being out there to offer a little bit of support and a little bit of help for the fuel mileage.
Yeah, a little bit. I think everyone else would have done the same thing with their teammates, but yeah.
No, it's great stuff. Congratulations on Pete to Josh. Well done on having a good sort of first race in this car as well. That's a scary prospect, but you're only going to get better in this thing as well. Before I let you go, love and shout outs to people in general.
Yeah, I think we've got another season of these coming up soon. A
Yep.
12-week series, I think, in ANZCAR as well, so that'll be interesting. We'll have to give that a crack. But yeah, cheers everyone for jumping out today, and Leppy Motorsports Concepts for sponsoring us this year, and yeah, that's about it.
Awesome,
you
Josh. Oh, you're welcome, and yeah, looking forward to that series coming up because it means I get to drive them. So
yeah, that should be fun. Also got a new series starting up tomorrow night, I believe, as well.
Yeah,
so,
off with the Gen 6 tomorrow night, so that should be fun indeed. So hopefully see you out there for that one, mate.
yeah, I'll bring out some old schemes for that as well. Should be fun. So yeah, looking forward to that as well.
Awesome stuff. Well done on second place tonight, Joshy. Well done indeed, and I'm sure we'll speak to you again in the near future.
No worries. Cheers, boys.
Josh McMore there for Mitch Motorsport, coming home second place. And finally tonight, we will bring up our race winner, the driver of the number 13. It is Hamish Gallagher. Hamish, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on winning this this long, tricky old race here at Daytona in this very, very fast car.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. I only had to put the boss in the wall to get it done, but we got it done.
Oh, look, that doesn't matter. I mean, look, it's not like that matters. I mean, it's where he deserves to be.
and no one's seen it, Hamish. So there's nothing to worry about.
Oh, Trev's going to be on the first plane over, I think, and he's going to be knocking on my door tomorrow. And he's like, "Oi."
A dramatic finish there, almost. Look, we saw you guys battling hard on those last few laps, but we also saw your fuel running out on the cool-down lap. How close was it?
Oh, no, yeah, I ran out of 4. So if Josh had made it stick, he would have won the race. So he did a way smarter job than me in that final stint, and he had half a lap extra. So all he had to do was make it stick on the outside there, and he would have had the race won. But he just the setup. I mean, I know the fixed setup was really tight coming out of 2, and it's easy at the wall, but our setup was a wee bit better than the fix, but it still got a little bit tight towards the end of a run. So yeah, so close. But yeah, like it's just glad one of us won. Would have been a bit embarrassing. We both wiped each other out, and he came through and cruised and got the win.
Yeah, Ed doing it Bradbury and getting the win that way, that would have been a very embarrassing moment because you guys had a fast sled all night long. Looks like it was a pretty decent car to drive as well. Looked very, very much like a nice car to be driving out there.
Yeah, full credit to Josh and Jason, especially Josh for built the set, and then Jason tested it. I didn't turn a lap until quali yesterday, so I just got to turn up and race. So you say full credit to both of them for building the setup, because this car was. I did a race here yesterday, just as a bit of a test run. That was a fixed setup race, and I said that setup was awful to drive. So anyone who was able to build a better setup than the fixed setup did a good job. But yeah, we could just it was a wee bit loose to begin with, and you just had to be nice and easy, which you probably saw on the broadcast. We sort of just chilled out and fell back in the first 10 laps of a run, and then it got really good. Everyone else is obviously struggling, getting tied off, especially Ed. He was taking a big diamond corner where we could just pretty much stick the bottom, so that last 15 laps of a run you could just sort of pull away. So yeah, really good car setup, and yeah, it paid off today.
Absolutely, and look, I've asked the other two as well. Long green flag race here at Talladega in these cars. It's a little bit physical driving these things.
Yeah, no, like Josh was saying, he was getting hand cramps and having to drive one-handed for a bit. So yeah, it was an endurance race for sure. But especially, I don't think I've done that many laps without a caution. To be honest, that was 500 miles, so
yeah,
that's a record.
It was a long old one. We almost got close a couple of times, but no cautions tonight, which is great to see. We were just chatting to Josh as well. Of course, we've got the 87 series coming up in the near future. Of course, Gen 6 starting up tomorrow night. But these cars absolutely awesome to drive, and looking forward to maybe getting out for some of the Monday night series.
Yeah, I'll definitely be doing a bit more of that later in the year once I'm running some American stuff that finishes in July. So then It'll be pretty much just ANZCAR, so hoping to be jumping in and do a bit more racing in the second half of the year.
We look forward to seeing you there, mate. Congratulations tonight on a fantastic victory here for the Winston 500, the ANZCAR Winston 500, and well, you've earned it because you've won it. But shout out love to sponsors, people. Go for it, mate.
I mean, just shout out to Josh for building the setup and Jason for working so good. It's just a shame he had his internet disconnection. I've never seen Jace have an internet problem before, so it was really weird to see him blink out, and a real shame. Yeah, but big thank you to both of them for the work they did building this car. So and the way they raced. So that was good. That was good fun. Just a good job everyone who turned up, because they said go caution free is really impressive in these cars. These cars have a lot of power and not much grip. So yeah, hard work even on a super speedway like this. You're not just foot flat. You're having to work it. So good job to everyone. And yeah, just a big thank you for you guys for putting the broadcast on, for Ed for organising it. Bit of a sorry to Ed, he's going to have to pay a bit of postage. Apparently he was on the radio telling me Josh better win this thing so he doesn't have to pay the postage to send it over to me.
You've bankrupted ANZCAR now, Hamish.
Oh yeah, it's going to be tough.
Look, congratulations tonight, mate. Well done indeed, and always great to see you up in the booth. I'm sure we'll see you back here sometime during the year.
Yep, thanks mate. See ya.
Hamish Gallagher, Mitch Motorsport taking the victory here tonight. And today even, I keep saying tonight, but today, we are done and dusted for the broadcast today. A big thank you to everybody for joining us, of course, all the drivers out there racing, and a special thank you, of course, to Mr. Matt Hunter and Mark Johansson. Of course, Matty Hunter doing all the hard work with the graphics that we have, and jumping in to get the Facebook stream up for people to watch on the onboards, and of course Mr. Mark Johansson for joining us up here in the booth today, and giving me a chance to take a bit of a breather. We do have some more broadcasts coming up this week. We have on Thursday night. We have as I'm printing up the wrong calendar, the trucks back at Martinsville, 200 laps on the 4th of April, so we hope you can join us there for that. But over in the Aussie Outlaws series, there's a bit of a GT3 race on Wednesday, the final practice race for the GT3 series, Mark.
Yeah, that's it, mate. The last one before the season gets underway, the following Wednesday on the 10th. So if anyone wants to come do some GT racing, just reach out to us and we'll get you sorted for that race.
Absolutely, and a week off for the Cup Series, but they'll be back the week after that. So a big thank you for everybody for joining us here today, and we will see you again in the very near future. Thank you all, and good day.